So the times, they be a changing. And when we look at the history of death metal, it started out as something where there was a lot of reverence of physical media, the golden tape trading days. But we see things changing now. We're moving away from physical media, increasingly towards digital only consumption. And then we see a lot of other things in terms of metal more broadly, but also death metal that just make it very difficult to be a touring musician, whether it's applying for increasingly expensive work visas to tour outside of the US, increasing merchandise costs, or is there even an interest then in physical media anymore? So there's a lot of different things that we can talk about, and I've invited some great guests to join us today to get an idea of what does it look like to be a musician right now. Expensive gas when we're driving and everything else. And then we also have venues that are trying to take merch cuts. They're trying to get a percentage of the profits that bands are making when they're already barely scraping by, especially when we're talking about death metal, something that's so niche. We're not going to have stadium tours, right, of death metal bands. But let's see what those experiences are like. So well, I'm very excited to talk to these different guests that I have today. I think we're down a man, but we'll see if he joins us in a little bit. But I'm very happy to welcome here Jacob Schmidt, who's been the bass player and defeated Sanity since 2005. If any of this metal information is incorrect, you can let me know, or if I butcher anybody's name. And then Eston Brown, who is the vocalist in Vulnificus since 2021, but has been doing vocals for multiple projects since, what, 2008 or so?
2004.
2004. So going back a little further than some of the stuff that's listed there. But let's talk about some of the ways that metal is changing, especially with a focus on touring obstacles. So we've got some different generations represented here, some bands of different sizes, newer, more old school that have been around a while. But can you just begin to talk about what are some of the obstacles that you think that we face, especially nowadays in terms of touring as a band? What have you experienced? And just starting very broad, and then we'll drill down into some specifics here.
Cool. Who do you want to start specifically? I can go ahead. Right now, I think the major obstacles are, for a band like us anyway that lives across the world, is airfare. Like, flights are just really, really expensive. So in the last 5 years, that's really eaten away at our revenue, so to say. And then obviously gas goes up and down pretty quickly, but over time it always goes up. And so just the logistics of touring have just gotten really expensive. Those are some obstacles that I think are pretty general, not only specific to Defeat at Sanity. But yeah, airfare is like, I remember when flights were cheap, like cross Atlantic for like $400, and yeah, now you pay double that, and then you still got to pay for the luggage and all that stuff, and the Uber to the airport is like over $100 now. And all that stuff, it just stacks up things that people don't necessarily think about, and that's the first thing that comes to mind.
How much does the gas vary in other countries compared to how much you pay for gas touring the US?
Usually more, honestly. Like, US still, as much as people bitch and complain, it's still cheaper than most other countries. Europe is nuts, so you can basically double the price for gas to Europe. So, or less, from a California standpoint, you can add 50%, and then you're about at the Europe level.
Yeah.
And from like a Texas standpoint, you can double it. So yeah, it's a lot more.
So touring internationally, one of the things that a lot of bands run into then is the need for a work visa. And so those are increasingly expensive. I think I don't know if you guys experienced this, of Gruber coming to the US. I think it's a little under $2,000 right now to apply for.
It's more.
More than that, just for one person. How much is it?
Well, the visa itself is not more, but you kind of need to go with a lawyer, and the lawyers are expensive, and they're getting more expensive. So all in, we're realistically, because there's different tiers of processing, but you need to really, if you pay for the lowest tier, you may never get an answer, and you may not be able to make the tour. So you have to kind of pay for the higher tier, which guarantees your response within a certain time frame. And it's a minimum of 4,000. And
Per
that's for a
person
year. That's for no, for the band, but that's for
for
12
the full
months.
band? Wow.
If you want that, but that doesn't include crew either. If you want to bring crew, then that's like another, that's actually more. So the crew adds on about the same cost, but then there's a union fee on top. You have to pay a union fee. So let's just say 4,000 for the band, and then like another 5.5 or so for the crew. So you're basically $10,000 for 12 months.
Yeah, that's insane. And how can like an underground death metal band make that money back? And
You can't.
how does that compare to other countries and their work visa fees and just touring other countries? Is it easier? Is it harder?
Um, for if you're a U.S. citizen or European citizen, other countries are generally much easier. I do know that that might be different if you're a band from I'm not sure, some maybe South American country, or then there might be fees for touring Europe and other places as well. But for us, Europe is cheap, Canada is cheap, Mexico, all these are no problem. The US is the only one for us that is really expensive.
And I feel like a lot of bands maybe even try to, especially smaller bands, maybe just try to sneak into the countries on like a visitor's visa and then tour
Yeah.
that way. But there's risks with that. And yeah, do you have any thoughts on that approach other than that it's illegal?
I mean, you can do that as long as you're a really small band and you're like literally flying under the radar. You're making no money. You're playing DIY kind of shows. You can totally do that. And yeah, I mean, illegal, it's a strong word, but if you're not making money, like, why would you be having to pay all these fees? You're not making it's still, if they, like when you enter the country and they ask you, are you here for business or for pleasure? Like, really, what is it if you're an underground band? Is it business? It's not really business. So I don't even think that that should be illegal. But yes, of course, if you're a small enough band, you can maybe fly under the radar. But unfortunately, um, in our case, it doesn't work because there's like tax forms involved, and everything's an entity. You're from your booking agency to the promoters you're dealing with, and everything's on the books. And this, you can't, we can't do that anymore. We just can't.
And Eston, what about domestically? Like you recently had a tour. What kinds of obstacles have you run into? Do you feel like it is harder to tour nowadays than maybe a couple of decades ago?
Excuse me. So yeah, just taking the baton from Jacob, I'd probably say the expenses would probably be the number one thing out of the list of things, just because just to piggyback on what we talked about prior to hitting record, yesterday's price is not today's price. So it's hard to really uh it's really hard to maneuver. You kind of have to plan very meticulously when it comes to finances, like what you said with the flights and the gas, and just even for emergency, like maybe emergencies and just other fees that come up, just in case, say you got like a tire blowout, or just like
Oh, yeah.
vehicle maintenance, just little odds and ends things like oil changes, stuff like that. So it's the expenses of it, because like I said, yesterday's price isn't today's price. But that moves into the scheduling part of it, because when things are expensive, then for everybody in the band, it becomes harder to schedule how to make shows happen. Because if personally you don't really have the money, then we got to work harder, and if we're working harder, then we can't really play as much.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
we gotta take time away from the thing that we love, and we gotta actually put it to real stuff, which is keeping food on the plate and a roof over our head. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's number one. At least to me, it is. I like to eat, so.
It's kind of necessary, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
So yeah, how do you not go into the hole, go into debt, right? What are you making the money on to just make this a worthwhile venture? Is it that the guarantee you get to play? Is it merch you're selling? Are people consuming physical media, vinyl, CDs, tapes? How are you actually getting some of that income back to pay for all of these expenses?
Me personally, are you asking me or Jacob or the both of
Both of
us?
you, yeah, yeah.
You go first.
I'll just keep it simple, man. You just make sure you have a full-time day job, and then just have disposable means of income, and then just use the music like that. And just to kind of rewind back to the previous question, that also means like at least for a band of our stature that's still on the way coming up, it's just the obstacle is just along with scheduling, it's also just like reaching out to people with the outreach, and just because everybody got ADHD brain, it's real hard to really just like nail people down, just to get somebody just to click on whatever you're doing, and following, and keep in motion and stuff like that. It's real difficult to have people actually like give a shit. So and actually like have a product that's how do I say this? That's actually worth the fuck like somebody's time. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so it's real difficult because in the sea of a lot of bands, respectfully, a lot of bands that it's just not worth the time. It's important to me that whoever is gonna give me the time, that it's gotta be like very important. Like you actually come away with something, whether good, bad, or indifferent, like come away from it saying, okay, well, I don't really like it, but I can see that time was put into it. Hey, this is really good. Okay, when's the next show coming up? Or just because the band's also spread out, just trying to have everybody come together, and then have people in everybody's hometowns kind of just know who we are. So, we're still on the climb up as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot harder nowadays to stand out because a sea of bands and everyone's fighting for such limited attention. And the internet is just this huge, like it just opened the floodgates, and it's this constant stream of information and things that, everybody is kind of competing against. So that's definitely another obstacle of nowadays. It has nothing to do with the touring part or anything, but you still got to think, about these things. Unfortunately, I feel like you didn't as much have to think about these things back then. You just played shows, and hopefully you got signed, and then you were in the hands of the label and the management, and they took it from there, and you just focus on the music. Maybe that was always a dream. I'm not sure, but that's clearly not how it is nowadays. And yeah, you were touching on the other thing that, as a band, like when you come up, um, sure, you start as a teenager and you live in your parents' home and it's easy, but when you have reached the status, like you have a band of like a bunch of grown ass men and they all got to put food on the table, um, it's you got to work twice as hard. Like Eston was saying, you got to work twice as hard because when you're on tour, you're grinding, and when you're off tour, you're grinding to make it up. And then you can't, you're risking to burn out. When you burn out, you can't be creative, you can't produce music, you can't bring yourself to do anything. So you really, it's a catch 22 really, and you just got to work even harder. And then of course, and you're adding in a girlfriend or a wife or a family, and shit, like usually things come to a halt pretty quickly for a lot of bands at that point. Add a mortgage, add a child, like, unless you're already at a point where the music is your job and making your money, it's very difficult to keep that going. So I don't blame any band for you know hitting a wall and sometimes splitting with members, and it just happens. It's life happens, especially when you hit your late 20s, your 30s. Right, you got to see the bottom line always. Like you can't just be like, oh, it doesn't matter. No, at this point it does matter, and it's not out of greed, it's just pure necessity that you need to look at the numbers and have the spreadsheets and all that stuff going into a tour, knowing what you're about to spend. But then there's also the variables like a blown tire or whatever you don't know, cancel shows, and things can always go wrong. So then you gotta be prepared for the unknown as well. And yeah, it's not easy. We're fortunate that we were able to kind of endure a lot of things to get sort of to the part where there's a little bit of money to be made, but it's still not easier because the overhead keeps growing and growing and growing. And yeah,
It's a thin line between operating like a business and operating as a hobby. And
yeah,
that's kind of the thin line that you just to kind of bring it on home, that's kind of the thin line you kind of play with. Like, as
yeah,
far as like the tour that we just did, like it was kind of like a fine line between like having fun and then being like, all right, cool, like this is how I'm gonna operate to make sure that everybody's cool. Everybody's keeping a cool
yeah,
head and everything runs
totally.
smooth, and make sure the emotions don't get the
Yeah,
best of you.
balance. It's a
Sure.
balance. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you got to
yeah.
make sure that people are having fun, not miserable, because then money doesn't matter if you're miserable. But also, if you're having a good time but you're broke, then that's not sustainable either. So it's really
Yeah.
it's equally important.
Well, if you broke, you ain't really having a good time either because you can't do anything.
Exactly,
it's,
exactly.
like-
And you
it's a
come
catch
home and you're just
22.
like reality hits you, you know?
So speaking of the money stuff, let's talk for a minute about merch then. So the price of merch keeps going up. Like it used to be what, like 2013 Bolt Thrower could sell shirts on tour for as low as $10. You would
Yeah,
not see a short sleeve T-shirt for $10 now, right? The merch
no,
cost has really kind of skyrocketed. But then often it feels like fans maybe don't recognize that things cost more to produce. And so, how do you kind of deal with that? Like hoodies, especially, are expensive, but some
oh
bands are
yeah.
even charging like $60 for a short sleeve T-shirt. How do you kind of navigate that? And how much are you selling merch? Is that an important part of this?
I mean, you go to a mainstream show and a shirt is $55 to $65. Like go to like an
70,
Iron Maiden
80.
Metallica show. Yeah, it's insane. And I know that it's not the band making that. I mean, they're making hella money, of course, but I know that the venue is taking a cut. The merch seller is taking a cut. There's taxes coming out of it. There's all kinds, and the band might end up like obviously management always takes their 20% or something, and the band might make $10 from that shirt in the end. That's but on that level, right? On our level, it's not quite. There's less middlemen taking the money, but there's still enough that like we do have to up the prices a bit. And Bolt Thrower selling shirts for $10. I mean, Bolt Thrower was always known that was kind of like their thing to give back to the fans, make the merch ultra cheap. And I mean that's admirable. I'm not sure how they can afford it. We couldn't afford the $10 price even back then, but it was 15 maybe, 20 felt rich. Like in 2013, 20 was like, oh, that's like, pushing it. Now 20 is dirt cheap. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, just look at inflation, look at anything, look at your rent, like it just has to go in lockstep with your cost of living as well. And for a long time, I feel like it hasn't. Everything's gotten more expensive, but Death Metal shows, Death Metal merch kind of stayed the same for a long time, and now it's just been playing catch up, really.
Yeah, you mentioned merch cuts. So when venues are maybe asking for a percentage of your profits of merch or something like that, how widespread is that? How much of an issue is that? And how do you feel about it?
The bigger the venue, the bigger the promoter, the more likely you're going to have a merch cut. In the underground, it's still thankfully unheard of. Like playing like small venues, they would never do that. But once you get to like 500 cap and above, very often it will say merge cut in the contract, but it's not always enforced. And then sometimes you run to this like really awkward encounter at the end of the night where like the venue manager comes around, is like, guys, technically you owe me some money here, but he doesn't really want to do it. It's like, but he's like the Grim Reaper having to collect, and you're just kind of like, here's $20, and he's like, he's okay. But then you get like to the next level, and they're like really stern. They like call you into the office, and they like break it all down, and they know exactly how much you've sold, and because they count it in, they count out, and at that point, she's like, fuck, like now you get an invoice, and you got to pay that, and
Sound like the
yeah,
IRS, man.
yeah, there's no way around it at that point anymore. But I mean, we try every trick in the book to get around these merch cuts because I don't think it's fair. But at
No,
some
not at all.
point, no, it's not. And I mean, I've gone into arguments at the end of the night. For example, when they didn't count in the merch or didn't mention the merch cut, and at the end of the night, they're all of a sudden like, "How much did you sell?" I'm like, well, you don't know because you didn't count in the merch, so there's no way for you to know how much we sold. So if we're gonna guess, then I'm gonna give you my guess, and I'm not gonna make up a number that's convenient for me. and here's $10 and go fuck yourself, basically. But then again, sometimes they run it like really, really seriously. Like they count it in, they count it out, and at that point, you just kind of have to play along.
Sorry,
They
sorry.
do.
Sorry.
Chris?
My meeting ran late. I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't email you to tell you I was late. I'm really sorry.
Totally fine. But yeah, so now we have Chris Pervelis of Internal Bleeding, who's been rocking this stuff since what, 1991 now.
Yeah.
But we're talking about merch cuts right now. How widespread have you is that as an issue that you've encountered?
This is all my personal view of things, of what I've seen. I've actually seen the demand for merch cuts go down.
Yeah,
Right?
Oh, so all right. So yeah, I've seen it
a bit.
3 or 4 years ago. It was every little, even the rinkiest little club would want a merch cut. And thank God 90% of the time they were too lazy to count in. So at the end of the night, I would be like, hey man, you didn't count anything. I sold one shirt. Here's $5.
Yeah.
And tell them to go screw. I honestly have no problem with a merch cut if the person's going to sell the merch and set it up, because
that's a service.
Right. It provides a service, and that makes my life easier, and I get to actually enjoy the show and hang out with my friends. And I would love that, but just I mean, I know all the musicians have seen this as like, okay, well then shouldn't we get a cut of the bar since we drove it, since we were the people who are driving people here? But it doesn't work that way. But I think there's a downward trend on merch cuts, not at festivals or anything long.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did they start doing these merch cuts like this before or after the pandemic?
COVID was the big driver in my experience, because all the venues were dying, and then
Yes,
new revenue.
That's what I was about to get at. Because
they were playing the pity.
They did that beforehand.
Yeah, they were panhandling basically because we're in such bad shape. Like we need to. I'm so sorry, but if you want us to survive, hey, us too. Everyone.
Everybody always putting their hands in the pot, man.
Yeah. Everybody's got their hands in the pockets of the musicians. It's hilarious. When we did our tour with 6 Feet Under in '96, I think out of 30 shows there was 2 that took a merch cut. I know one was in Ohio because we got Frank Rini almost beat the daylights out of the guy. But they didn't count in, and then they wanted all this money, and Frank was like, this was when Frank was huge and could bench 400 pounds, and Frank just like, come on and take it from me.
Yeah.
But how much does that tend to be, that merch cut?
Like 15% is the average, I'd say.
Yeah, it started at 10 but jumped to 15 pretty quick.
Yeah. And they oftentimes nowadays, what they say is they only take the 15% on so-called soft goods, meaning clothing, not on CDs. But like Chris was saying, and I was alluding to earlier, like just because it's in the contract, oftentimes they don't, like, especially like the middle cap kind of venues, they don't necessarily want to enforce it because the venue manager, he knows it's shady, and he just kind of, it's awkward, it's weird. But once you're dealing with like Live Nation or like the big dogs, it's all business, and you'll get called in the office, and they have the exact numbers, and it's harder to evade that because you signed the contract, so technically you got no leg to stand on at that point. They counted you in. Like at that point, it's just like you got to play the game, although the game sucks. But,
and if you skate out on them, I mean, like Live Nation, you skate out on them, the word goes out, and you get blackballed. And then you lose. Live Nation is gobbling up clubs. So if you screw one Live Nation venue, it gets around, and then next thing you know, you're not getting booked in any Live Nation. So like you said, Jacob, but you got to play the game. Unfortunately. And to your earlier point, I agree. There's a lot of times where the guy will come up in the venue all sheepishly and ask for money for the merch cut. And 90% of the time he'll be like, listen, just give me $20 and we'll say you didn't sell anything. So there are a lot of good people out there who know it's just a scam, and they're trying to help the musicians. So hats off to a lot of those guys, because I know they're in a tough spot and they're incredibly embarrassed to ask for money.
I feel that.
I've been cut breaks a million times by guys like that who said, just listen, just write that you sold 2 shirts. Nobody's gonna know. Give me $20 and everything will be fine. And now I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I can live without $20.
So
Here's one more thing, Kyle.
following the pandemic, mentioning that all these venues closed and it's harder for a lot of them to survive, and you mentioned what Live Nation is going through and buying out a bunch of those, right? And so to what extent do you kind of feel like, even as a death metal band, do you have to work with Live Nation, Ticketmaster, and do you have any thoughts about some of these things like their resale ticket policies, right? Immediately the stuff like I saw Napalm Death came through not too long ago, and all the tickets were being scalped for hundreds of dollars for general admission. And have you kind of run into those same kind of circumstances?
Go ahead.
Personally, no, not really.
I haven't. Well, but the whole ticket, maybe because I'm old, but the whole ticketing thing is like, it's insane, because like a flyer will say $20 for the show, but then when you go buy the ticket, the $13 or $14 in fees, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this whole fee thing is maddening.
It's more than the door price oftentimes.
Right.
You better off buying at the door.
It'll say like pre-sale $20 and then door price is $25, but then with the fees it's like $30 to get the pre-sale. So why would you do that?
Sometimes, yeah, exactly.
Because some people I gotta say, a lot of younger people are just lazy and not going to go to the box office or whatever and take a trip down there and buy it. So they're paying for the convenience, and it's a free market, and I don't like it. I try not to participate in it, but it's a free market, and if people find it convenient to just go on your computer and buy something and pay an extra $15 in exorbitant fees instead of going to the box office,
it's a convenience fee.
But don't complain about about it if you're voluntarily doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If there's another alternative, which
especially since a lot of time the venues they normally be in like hella convenient places where you can just kind of just drop by and buy it at the door. I come from the era where it was like, oh, tickets going to sell at 10 o'clock, buy it at 10 o'clock at the box office, So I kind of feel weird buying tickets online, just because I'm so used to just like going to the box office and getting the printed ticket in my hand. Because I like to collect ticket stubs. I like to collect ticket stubs. So
I have a lot of good ones. I have a lot of good ones from the '80s. Dio, Twisted Sister, all that, and sleeping out in front of Nassau Coliseum to buy tickets.
Yeah, I did some of that when I was.
It was a part of the show experience.
Absolutely, the parking lot was definitely the parking lot, and the ticket line was definitely part of the experience.
So let's talk a little bit about physical media now. So death metal, right, has roots in just early collecting, worshiping a physical media with the tape trading days and all of that. But since the decades that have followed, we've seen increasingly a more digital atmosphere for people consuming stuff. We've seen stuff just within the last few days of Sony saying their next generation of video games starting in 2028, completely digital, won't even have physical copies anymore. A few days before that, people that had purchased over 500 different movies they had lost access to those because there's corporate mergers and everything. They don't have the rights to have them anymore. And then you lose those stuff from your digital library. And so do you feel like this is the direction that metal's going into? Will we still have physical media? What kinds of things are you seeing when you are playing shows? Are people buying vinyls, tapes, CDs? What are they buying, and how important is that? And then also, they still want those prices to be the same as decades ago. Some people lose their minds if they're paying more than $10 for a CD, not realizing how much those production costs have gone up. But what are your thoughts on physical media And how much are you selling those, would you say?
Go ahead.
No, go, Chris.
We do so. First, let me talk a little bit about what I have seen for internal bleeding as the physical media trend. In America, physical media stinks. But we just went over to Europe with Party Cannon, and we couldn't keep hold of CDs and vinyl. Now, I don't know if that's because we're a rarity when we go over there, or that the Europeans consume more physical media, but we sold so much physical media. And I'm so thankful the record label, when I was talking to the record label, I'm like, I want to order a couple of CDs for this run. He's like, how many? I'm like, I don't know, 50. He's like, you're going to sell out of them in 2 days. I'm like, really? He's like, trust me, I'm going to give you 400 and vinyl and cassettes, and you're going to sell out of everything. And we finished, and I think I returned 2 vinyls.
Yeah.
And we've been playing around here in America, and I'm lugging CDs and vinyl around, and I'll sell 1 at a show or 2 at a show. That's only because that's only because people wanted an autograph and had nothing for me to sign, and they'd be like, "Oh, buy the vinyl, sign this," you know. And it's like, it's like so. I don't know. Have you guys experienced that? Like, it's dead in America today.
You're right. You're right. I always think about it like America. They buy more merch. Americans love the T-shirt and the hoodie and the beanie, and Americans buy more merch, and Europeans make up with it in the physical media. And vinyl had such a strong comeback. Like, I'm still surprised after all these years that at this point, when I order for a tour, I order as much vinyl as CD, and sometimes we sell more vinyl than CDs. And a while ago, it was like I'll order like 3 or 4 times the amount of CDs than I would order vinyl. Now it's come even, and maybe vinyl even getting the edge, which is crazy, because I grew up in the CD age where vinyl was just like only for like the niche connoisseurs that want their collection, but like so few people would buy vinyl just 15 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago. Shit.
I grew up in the vinyl age, so I'm a kid of the 70s.
Yeah.
I grew up on vinyl, and it's so funny. Everybody loves vinyl now, and I could remember when CDs first came out, and I first heard a CD. I'm like, God, this is so much better than vinyl. It's so much less work. I don't have to clean it. I don't have to, I can store it easier. And it was great. Yeah. And then I can understand the nostalgia for vinyl because it's just impressive because it's so big. Mm-hmm. And the format, and we can get into arguments which sounds better, but there's something about. I saved a lot of my vinyl from a kid, so I have like a lot of original Black Sabbath albums and stuff like. And when I open it up, it's more of an experience than a CD or a cassette ever will be. And it's kind of cool to get nostalgic about it. And I'm glad younger people are getting into vinyl. And I think going back to what you were saying earlier, Kyle, I think that things are cyclical. So I think like in America, physical media will come back eventually when people start realizing, like what you were saying, you don't own anything anymore. You're basically renting everything.
Right. For full price.
For full price, right.
Yeah.
So, there'll be a backlash. There'll be a backlash eventually. So
it'll come back.
Yeah, when that it's all cyclical.
People buy movie DVDs again too.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy it on Amazon. I don't want to buy it. Like, buying a movie digitally is still the stupidest thing to me ever, because you don't even have the file. You have it in your account. Now, what if it's like, why would you spend $20 to own a movie on Amazon? You can just buy the DVD, or at least have a file.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you mentioned with Sony's been transitioning into. I'm not surprised that Sony did that, because Sony's been transitioning. The whole gaming industry as a whole has been transitioning to just serverless and just everything based on the cloud or on a computer. I mean, essentially that's kind of where we are as a society. We're moving to everything being stripped down, digital, and being very easier to assess. As far as Vulnificus is concerned, we actually do pretty well as far as like CDs and selling CDs and physical media is concerned, but I kind of put an asterisk on it because I try not to have more than what I need. So I don't think physical media will die. I think what will happen is it'll be something more like how other genres do it, where they'll have physical media for release, but it will only be limited to a certain amount. So like there'll be CDs and cassettes and vinyls, but it'll only be limited to a certain amount, like 200. Because at that point, then the economics come into play where you can charge whatever the fuck you feel like
Yeah,
charging.
scarcity.
And it'll and yeah, and so that's what it's scary. I feel like at the most, that's kind of where we'll end up because with production costs and everything, art, artwork, people not really trying to do the AI artwork and things like that. With the cost of everything going up, I just feel like that's kind of the smartest thing to do is to just charge a certain amount for a limited amount of copies. So the reason why Vulnificus does well as far as physical media is because I only make like the first couple of releases that we did. I think the first demo I only did maybe like 250, and the second one I did 250, and I think the album just I don't know. I think we did maybe like 1,000 copies, if that. Just because I don't want to sit and collecting dust. I'd rather it be out there in the world, being touched by somebody, even if
value too.
yeah, that too. And at the end of the day, as messed up as it is to say, a lot of people just buy your shit just to resell it at a higher price anyway. So
Yeah.
That is such a good point. And that the whole flipper thing it's not just in music. Like so like I'm really into classic cars. That's my thing, and I was trying to help this guy out. He needed a center console for his Barracuda. So I wanted to help this guy out at an extra center console. And he was like, I don't have the money to restore, finish it. And I said, I have a really good console that I restored. I'll give you the $400. You pay the shipping, whatever. 2 days later, he had it up for $1,500.
Wow.
And I get people, I can tell flippers I can tell who flippers are at shows because they have absolutely no interest in the band. They're like, what's up?
Yeah.
Give me this. And
They
that's
want it signed, typically.
It's going up 5 minutes later.
So how important are reissues then for you guys? Because whether it's merch, shirts, or CDs that are only printed in 250 copies, like these things can skyrocket pretty quickly then if people try to resell them. I think especially like some old internal bleeding shirts and stuff, right, are listed for insane amounts of money. So how important is it to reissue this stuff and maybe try to prevent some of that? Do you care about that stuff, or is it just always move forward to the next thing? Or
I try not to do. See, I'm on the fence about this because I try not to do reissues because I know a lot of people who have like our shirts and stuff from back in the day and like they cherish them, and I don't want to flood the market with repeats.
Yeah.
So that's half my battle. The other half of my battle is what you're talking about, Kyle, is to, if you flood the zone, so to speak, with a reissue of a classic shirt, it'll drive down the prices of flippers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I lean mostly towards protecting because I know a lot of people who have shirt collections and they love them and they would never sell a shirt unless, like, God forbid one of their family members was sick.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of respect for that because I collect stuff too. And
I feel that. I try
to when we
reissue. I try to change a detail that makes it obvious. Right. So change a logo color or something so that it's the same design, but it's different. That people can tell. Okay, this is the one that came out in 2007, and this is the one that came out in 2021 or whatever, right? So that protects sort of the people that like to have this collector's value, but it still gives a chance to people to buy this design, as a reissue, which is slightly different, but
we've done that. We've done some old shirts from the early 90s and did exactly what you said. We changed, back then we'd print white and red because everybody printed 2-color back then. So I changed. I'll change it to green and white.
Yeah.
You know,
There you go.
so the original one stays the original one. You know, but I don't
Yeah.
do that much.
So is it maybe
Yeah,
more
for
important to
me-
repress the music rather than the shirts to keep those in circulation, or?
To me, yes. Only because we've been around so long that people never had the chance to purchase original stuff. So
Yeah.
you know, we just did a box set of our first 3 albums like a year and a half ago, and it sells really well with young kids because they don't have access to the, you know, they have access on Spotify, but they still want some kind of physical thing for the artwork or whatever it is, and those box sets sold really well. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to keep the music out there.
I agree.
Yeah, but you got to
100%,
play the game
100%.
like we were talking about. Nobody's buying it. Not many people are buying things in America, but in Europe, they're buying physical media, man. They really are. It's crazy.
I feel like as far as reissues, I mean, me personally, I think you guys touched on it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan first, and I like a lot of bands, and that's kind of the part of the music experience for me is when something drop, I get it when it drop because there's always that feeling that once it's gone, it's gone. It's never coming back. So I hate reissues. I hate them. I can't stand them. I don't like merch, especially with merch and t-shirts, because a lot of shirts that I have in my collection have gotten reissued, and it just kind of just waters down like the experience. I just feel I kind of just look at CDs and merch, especially when it comes to bands. I kind of look at them like baseball cards and like comic books. So I kind of
Yeah.
feel like reissues. Respectfully, I feel like reissues should only be reserved for legacy bands and bands that have been out for a long time that had music during times where it wasn't as easy to get, or like when the music came out the first time, it like went like that and you couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Then you reissue it, like kind of like how comic books are sometimes, or like certain things. Like if it's a hot item, it'll sell out, and then 6 months later it'll just be a random release, or like something like that. But as far as like the way it is now, I don't like it.
Plus, if your band is around long enough, there's now you have different generations of fans, and you kind of want to enable the new generation that wasn't around when album XYZ came out. You want to enable them to also have that experience and have a reissue that you can sell to them, because you know they just never had the chance, and you don't want them to having to choose between paying ludicrous amounts of money and not owning it at all. You want them to be able to buy it at a fair price too. So and the longer you're around as a band, the harder it is to constantly come up with completely fresh merch designs. I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, sometimes you're just like, hey, we need a shirt quick, let's redo this one or whatever. Sometimes you change it a bit, or you know, you put like something different on the back, or I don't know. But sometimes you're just in a bind, you just gotta put out a shirt. You know?
Yeah, I relate a
That's the
lot to what
reality.
I relate a lot to what you said there, because you all know I'm a very big collector. I have like 9,000 death metal CDs or something insane like that. But the thing is, too, a lot of these were independently released back in the day and haven't been reissued. And then people are trying to ask like $700 for them or something like that. And I've got an issue with that, because at that point, why wouldn't you reissue it rather than somebody going and spending that much on one disc that might not even work anymore or something? Why not reissue it? We can change up the colors, add some stuff. One of the things I really like about layouts is of reissues is, can you expand it? Can you add the demo tracks? Can you throw in some old photos and stuff? But yeah, I like this idea of, well, we can reissue, but let's distinguish it from the original press so that then they can still celebrate that original press.
Yeah.
I like the reissue stuff that has like I get into reissue stuff that has like extensive liner notes, like notes like the band, because that makes it special in its own right. You know, like I've written like for Demonices, when they released Demonices, all their demos and 7 inches and stuff, I got to write the forward for that, and you know, that's cool. And me and Frank, when we did the box set, me and Frank wrote extensive liner notes for the box set to try to make it like a little personal, like
Yeah,
Adds more character to it.
yeah,
for
like
sure, for sure.
you could how do I say this? Like
It's like commentary.
yeah, you feel like the band members there with you, like
Yeah.
telling you a
Yeah, they're
story.
Yeah,
looking
you
back
remember
on it
how
as well.
back in the day they used to have the HBO commentary for the movies?
Yeah,
It's kind of like that.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's
no,
really
I
cool, and
agree.
that makes it that makes things like reissues really special. Because when you put out a new release, you don't write extensive liner notes about,
No,
blah 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 was drunk when he recorded this part, and you can hear his pick drop and him cursing through the pickup.
no, you don't do that. No, you're
You
right.
do that
You're right.
long after the release is out. You do that.
I have to agree. And that's something that we've actually never done, like liner notes. What we've done is included bonus tracks. We've included re-recordings, maybe as bonus tracks, or like a cover song, or an older demo track, or the prelude to the Tragedy re-release has like a fold out with like a lot of old pictures
Yeah,
that
that's
the
awesome.
original doesn't have. Little things. Obviously, you can make it a digipack or whatever. Like you can, distinguish it in some other ways. But yeah, like just a regular repress. I mean, ultimately, we leave it up to the label, like whatever, because they're seeing the business end of things, and they got to make sure that they get their piece of the pie. And so we leave them with these decisions typically. But I do like when they want our input. And for example, for the Chapter Sort of Partners release, we recorded some songs. For the prelude one, we recorded some songs as bonus tracks. And I guess it's time we do that for Passages too. It's been repressed without like the DVD, which is the only distinction, which is kind of like a downgrade if you ask me. But I don't know if people still play DVDs. That's the thing.
So let's talk about that question. Yeah. So Defeated Sanity had a DVD, Into the Soil, put out by a China label back in
that's right.
2017.
Yeah,
I don't think Internal Bleeding's ever had a DVD. That used to kind of be a staple of many bands. But yeah, does anybody still care about a physical copy of a live performance?
I don't.
I have it right here.
I personally don't think so. I don't even think in today's day and age making a video is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too flooded. YouTube is too flooded with stuff. Everybody's pulling out their smartphone.
You got your own music stuff right there. Yeah.
It's a bummer. We talk about this too. Like sometimes we have a good video and good audio from a show, but then it's like, do you really want to go through the trouble of like getting the edits and all that stuff, and then nobody cares because it's already, YouTube has everything already, and right. Pressing a DVD is a bunch of cost, and maybe it will come back. I hope it will. Tapes came back, which nobody thought, vinyl obviously. So but right now DVDs are not, like, we're sitting on hours and hours and hours of footage and material from the last 10 years. And exactly that's why we haven't released any of it, because it's just like, why go through the work if everybody pulls up their smartphone at every show, and there's just a billion of YouTube videos already out there. And sometimes you play a festival like Brutal Assault or Obscene Extreme or I don't know, Maryland, and there will be like actual pro footage out there for free, and it really kind of floods the market for us. Like I think select people would actually be interested in that. Yeah, it's just like with vinyls and cassettes, like it's a certain niche. You just have to tap into it by doing like special releases, and it just really depends on how you it just depends on how you dress it up. Honestly, people will buy anything if you dress it up nice. If there's anything that you learn from social media, is that people will buy a turd if it'll get you likes and
yeah.
Some are still selling VHS.
I was about to say, like what you guys said with the generational transition, a lot of people in the newer generation as well, they never had access to VHS, cassette tapes, the turntables. They never had access to a lot of that stuff from the 80s and 90s. So, if you release a DVD, a little 15, 16-year-old who might not want to be on on YouTube all day, they might want to actually physically watch it, you know, on a big screen. Um, they might buy the DVD, especially when this day and age where people would just kind of throw away and sell stuff on marketplace all the time. It's probably a market for people who buy like used DVD players.
But then again, if Sony and these video game platforms go all digital, then those consoles are not even going to have DVD slots anymore, and nobody really owns a Blu-ray player anymore because everybody just uses Netflix, etc. So
laptops.
That's no different than your average vehicle though. They got rid of the CD player in the vehicles too.
Right.
Yeah.
So very
computers
soon,
too.
Like I'm not gonna lie, right now, my only way to play a DVD is my PlayStation. I don't even own a DVD player anymore.
Same.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, my
If I wanna
Xbox.
pop
That's
in a
the only way I
DVD.
can play a DVD.
Yeah.
And soon, next generation, the PlayStation will not have a DVD drive anymore. And then what? Then how do you play anything?
And it'll be the same.
Yeah.
It'll be the same. It'll be the same price, if more expensive, with even less hardware inside of it.
And that's the game right there. They'll give you less, but charge you more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
I just
What
want
about-
one comment. The tape thing, I cannot believe that's an actual thing.
I know.
I'm
How
sorry.
much? How much are you guys selling for
I don't
tapes?
know how many years I spent with a pencil going like this when I was a teenager with tapes
With the
And
pen
get-
cap.
Sell like hotcakes, though.
and trying to
Yep.
read the lyrics with like a magnifying
Yeah.
glass because the whole album's worth of lyrics is on a little J card. It's just I don't.
I can't believe it either, Chris. I can't believe they're selling as well as they are. I can't believe it.
Same here.
I don't even have a tape deck anymore. I have the Defeated Sanity tapes on my shelf, and they look great. I haven't played them once because I can't.
No.
You know, the great thing is that you can just go on Marketplace and look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, one day I will. I just don't have I don't know. One day I'll get a tape deck again, I guess. Walkman, maybe.
You can easily just buy one of them from the thrift store or from Marketplace.
sure.
So that's
The
the
Goodwill.
great thing about it. You know, for a lot of people they're just throwing stuff away. So
I will never
Yeah.
go back to I will never go back to
No.
tapes. I
It's
had
inferior. Yeah.
a horrible relationship with tapes growing up. So
I mean, it's kind of like VHS in a way. Like, I grew up with VHS still, but by the time I was in Defeated Sandy, VHS was a thing of the past. So that's like a pure childhood thing to me. And that's why Defeated never had a VHS release of any sort, really. And VHS is clearly inferior to DVD or Blu-ray. So it's not a medium that I would ever buy again, other than nostalgia, pure nostalgia,
right.
yeah, because the thing about it is now that our eyesight is used to 1080p and 4K quality vision with the screens, sometimes it's hard to kind of go back and watch.
Yeah,
things.
it is.
380p, it's hard.
You know what's really funny is my kids are young and they grew up in the digital age. I mean, they're 19 and 16 now, but I'll catch my kids playing 8-bit games and they're like, this is great. I'm like, the graphics suck, man. I was like, why are you
foxy faces?
why are you playing this? Because it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember as technology kept getting better and better, I was like, I'm never playing freaking Nintendo again. I'm gonna play this because the graphics are so much better, because I was so into the technology, and now I see my kids are like going backwards.
It's
Which
like,
is-
trend
That
is the ebb and
cyclical
flow,
theme
I guess.
again.
Mhm.
Yeah, that cyclical theme. The only 8-bit game I play is Balatro, so which is very 8-bit looking card game. It's crazy deck building card game, but it's all in 8-bit. It's really neat.
So what about music videos? It used to be the case that back in MTV and Hell's Headbangers, right? That'd be a cool way to learn about different bands. But now a lot of bands are still creating music videos, putting them up on YouTube. They're just like mixing some live footage with like some amateur gore footage or something. Is it worth doing that? How important are music videos now? And a number of you guys have music videos out, but
I can tell you this: labels want them. Labels want music videos, and we do them because it's kind of the thing you have to do. But I also I can't imagine they're really that important anymore, but somehow they still are. That's my take.
Yeah, just a relic of the past, and labels still think they're useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the labels because there's a great majority of bands I would have never even known or even listened to if it wasn't for a music video. Sorry, Jacob.
Oh, okay.
It just the music video is the music video is a great gateway to it's a great gateway to a band, and it's also part of the listening experience and the music experience, like
Yeah.
how we
Okay, fair.
mentioned before. Because that's kind of how I got into Suffocation. I got into Suffocation around the time they came back and they released the I think it was the Surgery of Impalement video.
Yeah, on Soul
Yeah,
Cyanide.
I saw.
That was a sick
Yeah.
one, too.
Yeah, I saw that. I got that from Jamie Johnston Headbangers Ball. You know what I'm saying? So the music, it's a great way for promotion, and it's a good way, like I had mentioned before. Part of
It's still a thing, yeah.
it's just a good way to reach people who don't know who you are, and it's a good way to promote what you got coming up, man. Because sometimes, some bands, they get dormant and they don't do anything, and then they come with a video, and it's like, hey, we back.
I'm gonna
Is
be
just a streaming track though the same as that, or what about lyric videos? A lot of bands do lyric videos, and often I mean most
Spotify
death metal bands
playlists.
are their lyrics really worth reading?
Yeah, not a huge fan of most lyric videos. I'm gonna just put it out there. I think that
yeah, lyric videos are
they're a bit of the lazy music video. Like, music video is cool. Honestly, I like performance and playthrough videos the most. Lowest tier is lyric video. That's my take.
I'm gonna be
Spotify.
I'm gonna be the contrarian, and I think music videos are completely dead and useless. They're just they don't serve a purpose, they don't serve the same purpose they used to, and I'd rather take $1,000 in production costs or whatever and put it into something else.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. We've had this discussion quite a bit in our band about music videos, and we decided, unless the budget's insane, to do an insane video that doesn't look cheesy.
Yeah.
We would consider it, but a lot of videos come out and you're like, they spent $1,000 on this, and it's just horrifyingly bad.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. But like I was saying, if it was up to us, I would just put live videos, playthroughs, performance, but labels want a music video, at least one for the album. Again, it's kind of like,
I like the live music videos.
Live music video fun, especially if especially if it's captured in the right room and the energies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of fun. It's just not for, like, with this last album that we put out, we discussed a music video, and Scott from Maggot Stomp is like, why are we going to do that? Let's put out some like really cool merch, like baseball bats. Do something unique, and so we made internal bleeding baseball bats. They were awesome. We sunk the money into the baseball bats, and we sold the baseball bats in like 3 days. They were gone.
Yeah.
What color was the baseball bats?
Put the money into the production. Honestly, the production of the album. Like, sometimes bands, they skimp on the album production and then put out a music video. Like, that's the wrong priorities. I feel like music video should never come out of the album production. If there's an extra budget that the label is willing to give for it, that's one thing. But I would never say, okay, this is our advance, this is our budget, so we're gonna take this chunk for the music video and then the rest for the album. No, put it all in the album, and then if there's extra that the band that the label dedicates to a music video because they want a music video, they can have it. But I wouldn't take it out of our pay that is there to make a good album.
Very good point. Very good. I totally agree with that. When we were with Unique Leader, they always gave us a separate video budget.
Yeah.
We'd get the recording budget, and then we get a video budget.
Exactly.
And that's how it should be. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're paying for it anyway. So
I think playlists do a pretty good job. Just as much as a job as the videos do. Like Spotify playlists, YouTube playlists,
very
playlists, anything, the auto shuffle, The way they have it now with a lot of these music apps is, if you listen to something, AI will kind of
The
just skip.
algorithms, yeah, you got to get on the good
Yeah,
stuff. The
yeah.
algorithm will
So I
switch
mean,
us.
sometimes, honestly, sometimes that works better
Yeah.
than the video, honestly.
Oh, for
Especially
sure.
if it's
You know,
especially if the curator knows a lot of people when they have a lot of followers and stuff like that
yeah.
online.
But
They throw you on a playlist
it's all
or
purchased too, though. It's all purchased. Like labels
yeah.
pay money to be on these playlists, and labels pay money to rig the algorithms. And it's like sometimes you look up a band like pop, especially, right? Like the more commercial, the more you see it, and they have like
Streaming
500,000
farms.
listeners on Spotify. You're just like, whoa, they're huge. And then you realize no, it's just they're buying that. The band, the
Mhm.
label is buying that, and really nobody knows this band. And if they would play a show, they would be like on the bottom of the bill somewhere in like a mid-tier on a
Mhm.
mid-tier like tour. And
You see that a lot with
can easily be
rappers.
rigged. Those
Yeah,
numbers
you
can
see,
be rigged so
you do
easily.
see you do see that with rappers, and you know what you see that with also Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We've
Yeah,
played
yeah.
played bands. We played with some bands. I'm not going to mention the names, but their Instagram follower count is through the roof.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we play, and nobody knows who they are.
Yep.
Nobody showed
there.
up to show for them. Nobody knows who they are, and it's like, somebody's doing something with the algorithm, or they're buying
And
bots, or it's bot
Right.
involved.
Yeah.
It's not.
That
it's
goes back to what I was saying about the outreach, because you want to try the transition between real reality and online reality. It doesn't always compute, especially
they're not always the
for
same.
us.
No.
For Vulnificus, we originally started off as an internet band. So to try to make that transition from that, the people who follow us online, and actually like get off your ass and actually like, come see us at a show, that transition is
And I'm gonna say one thing, actually. Chris can probably back me up on that, because Internal Bleeding, you've been around even longer, but the Fiat Sanity, we're both bands. We started in like the old pre-Spotify, age where, you played shows, you sold records, and I see a lot of new bands coming up, and they blow us out of the water with their like YouTube and Spotify, numbers. But that's because the game is rigged towards them, because they're new bands. So
right.
literally 100% of their fans discovered them on Spotify and are listening to them on Spotify. Versus we have a whole 2 generations of listeners that own our albums, that come to our shows, that don't even have Spotify, because they're an old generation. We have so we're kind of splitting it between, there's this new generation of fans that are listening to us on Spotify and YouTube and whatnot. And then there's this whole cohort. And I mean, the same can be said about like Suffocation, these bands. Like if you compare Suffocation on Spotify to some new band, you might think, oh, they're way less popular because they have way less plays. But no, it's just because a fraction of their listeners is on Spotify versus 100% of the listeners of this other bands on Spotify. And it's skewed in favor of newer bands, these numbers typically.
100%. And as a tangent to this, you know what I found interesting? I found when you were talking about you're talking about 2 different types of fans: the ones who discovered you on Spotify and whatever, and the older fans. I've noticed that, and I've been doing this for a couple of years now. The Instagram fans are completely different than the Facebook fans. The Facebook fans,
Younger usually, right?
Facebook fans skew much older.
Oh yeah, it's been around longer.
Instagram fans, so like on Instagram, we'll post all the stupid stuff that Ryan does because he's 28 years old and does stupid anime stuff. I would never post. I don't post it on Facebook. On our Facebook,
different
memes
cohort
and stuff.
Because, it's a different cohort. It's old school fans on Facebook and new fans on. So I find that I just find that really interesting. That dynamic is really that I have to put a different hat on depending on what media platform.
Now do TikTok.
Yeah, IG is a lot more. You have to be a little bit more engaging.
Yeah. I mean, like
Facebook.
every time Ryan does a stupid post with gas station boner pills or whatever, it gets so much traction.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing ever. It's and when he first did it, I shook my head. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Trust me." And then a day later, I look at the numbers. I'm like, "Holy crap! Look at the comments."
You can't deny it. I mean, that's how a lot of these younger bands rose to fame is through internet engagement rather than purely musical exposure, right? Internet engagement is what drives those numbers.
Yes.
And that's a game that's not native to me or like our like that's like maybe not even on the list, but if it is like all the way on the bottom of the list of things that I think about when it comes to promoting the band, you know, you're thinking about playing shows and getting on builds and, you know, obviously the music first. And then it's like, oh, engage with fans on the internet. Okay. So how do we do that? Okay, make a funny little 10-second clip and, you know, goof around and you know, you have to become basically actors now. Great. That's not what I signed up for. Like, I want to just play music. Why do I now have to do all this other crap?
Yeah,
Because
you gotta
really
be a
drives
part-time
the
influencer.
Yeah, like I never said I don't want to do that. Well, leave it to the young kids, right? I mean, I'm glad you guys have Ryan. To us, like I gave the keys to our social media to Vaughn a while ago because he's the youngest member of the band. Like, you know what? You understand this the best. You know, you have at it, you know, and he's like on the cusp. He's like what is he, like an older millennial, I guess. No, younger millennial. I'm an older millennial. So he's like on the cusp, but he still understands it better and it comes more natural. Like he will immediately film something and post about it. And I don't even think about this stuff. Like until like a week later, I guess I could have filmed, I guess I could have posted, whatever. Too late now. You know, like it doesn't come natural to me. So leave it to the young kids.
Same with me. I'll be like, we'll be like getting here before practice and I'll look and Ryan's taking a picture of my foot. What are you doing? He's like, just wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because he knows what the next thing you know, there's a picture of my foot in some weird perspective, you know, and all of a sudden it's getting likes left and right and I have no idea why.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you know, it shouldn't revolve around that, but it helps. It
absolutely
it humanizes you a little bit, you know.
It absolutely helps. And I don't know but there's also I don't know, I like it in a way also because you can kind of get closer to fans. Like my personal like Instagram, I do like I just did a whole bunch of
it humanizes you.
Yeah, I just did like a whole bunch of cameo, not cameo, the real cameo, but like I had a whole bunch of people ask me to do birthday greetings for their friends. I'll pay you. Okay. And I'm like, no, don't pay me. Give me the person's name. Tell me a little about them. I'll do 30 seconds I don't care. So that's kind of it was really exciting and it's really flattering too on top of that. And it's thank God for this technology too. It's, it's a curse and a blessing that I could actually make a video for some kid and make some kid happy that I spent 30 seconds out of my life to wish him a happy birthday. Like that makes me that's
because a lot of time people they might not ever be fortunate enough to actually meet you on a one-on-one or see you at a show, or even if they do see you at a show, you might be wrapped up in whatever, you might have a bad day, you might not feel like talking to anybody at a show or whatever. So a lot of times, these little things, even though it seems kind of mundane and insignificant, you also got to keep in mind that there's also a lot of people who look up to y'all. And
it's significant to someone.
Yeah.
You gotta think about that.
They might not ever meet you or ever, see you. So anything, but sometimes, beyond the mercy, if it's something like more personal, then it's something that is higher up the chain as far as importance, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now that being in a band has to do with, you have to have this social media presence, you have to have funny, you have to have viral clips, you have to maybe be shocking or whatever, increase engagement. Has the benefits like being closer to fans, but how do you navigate that? How do you draw the line between, they want to know what's going on with you, they want you posting all the time. How do you separate your private life from that public life as the musician? And have you run into any instances too where people are maybe not respecting those boundaries?
I keep a clear line there, really. Like, I don't really share much of my private life. Even on my own social media, I don't even have an Instagram account. I kind of stay away from all that stuff, and I prefer it that way. It's it's tricky because when you get friendly with fans, you want to be approachable, you want to be human, and you want to make connection. But if they ask for my phone number, for example, it's like that's where I'm like, I kind of even if I gave
Too
it to you,
personal.
if you text me at 1 a.m. with some stupid shit, I'm probably just not gonna respond. So what, like I draw the line there. Like you can't have that piece of me unless I really obviously have a rapport with you and I know you better, and that's different. But if right now you're just a fan of the band, you can have 5 minutes of my time always. You can have a photo, you can have a signature. You can ask me personal questions, and I will answer them to what I feel like in that moment. But even like when it comes to Facebook friends, I've become so much more selective who I accept. Like I used to just accept everybody, like cool, friends. And in the last few years, if I don't know you and you're trying to add me, if I don't see that you're at least like, maybe a regular concert goer, or like, if there's some personal connection, I'll accept you. Other than that, I even draw a line there now. Like I've kind of become a little bit more private in a way.
I'm like you. I have a really hard line. Like there's no pictures of my wife, my family, none of them, because there's just there's too many weirdos out there.
Facts.
Yeah, with kids, you have kids.
Yeah,
so
I would
even
never.
more. Yeah.
I think I posted one picture of my son when we went, me and him together when we went to the F1 races in Miami last year.
Mhm.
But that's it. I mean, it's cars, cigars, and bourbon. That's all.
Yeah.
People need to know from me. Like what you were saying, Jacob, if you have a connection with somebody and you become friendly and you trust them, then you can talk a little more about it. But I have a pretty hard line of, I think people get an idea of what my personality's like, what I put online. They know what I like, they know what I do and stuff like that. But I don't, nothing with my family. I don't even, my sister, nothing,
Yeah. Yeah. Put your life. Like some people put their whole life.
I
on
don't
display.
understand people. I just don't understand people who vomit. I don't understand people who vomit their entire life on social media. But what, it's like they wake up and their back hurts and then they write about it for an hour. Or they take a picture.
Hey, man.
They take a picture, or even an innocent picture. I've seen it a million times. Like some of my wife's friends, even an innocent picture of like your kid in a tight bathing suit getting out of the pool, and he's like 4 years old. Like I wouldn't post a picture of my 4-year-old with just a bathing suit on. You couldn't. It's just too many predators,
Too
and
personal.
it's just it's just I just don't get it. There's got to be a wall. There's got to be some privacy. That doesn't mean you can't let people into your life. It just means you have to be guarded. And
I like to look at it. I like to look at it like the workplace. I know this is probably not it's a very apt analogy for what I'm about to say. I kind of just, when it comes to bands, for all the reasons y'all stated, I kind of just look at it like the workplace, in the sense that I'm cordial with people. People know that I'm not just a firecracker. Like I'm somebody you can talk to about whatever. I'm a friendly face, sort of. And just try to keep it cordial. Like I'm not going to be an asshole unless it's merited. And but at the same time, I'm not somebody to fuck with. So it's kind of like, it's like being at the workplace. Like I'll talk to you, like what Jacob said, like I'll sign your shit, we can hang out, we can have a beer, whatever the case is. But as far as like me personally, I mean, the only thing you're gonna know about me is that the Knicks just won the championship. And real happy about it. So I compartmentalize. Like I use social media as a tool, just to kind of use it as a tool and as a means to get the music out there, and everything else is extra. Because I mean, personally, I don't really think people give a shit about what I have to say anyway. So I don't know. I don't really give. I personally don't give a fuck about what people have to go, personally going on. As long as you living good and you happy and you living life, that's all I care about. All the extra stuff I don't really care about. So I kind of feel like it's the same way.
all of you being online then too also makes you more vulnerable to people to share not so nice things that they want to say to you, right? Like with Chris gave the example of them selling baseball bats. So did you get people they're like, oh, you're on MAGA Stomp, so you're selling out, you're selling baseball bats. That's not what death metal's about. Do you get a lot of these kind of nasty comments, and does it ever get under your skin? How do you deal with that stuff?
No, actually, in our group chat, we go through all our social media and find the worst things people say about us and share it with each other. we laugh. I'm like, half these kids are whatever, sitting in their mother's room doing nothing. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be in Europe next month playing in front of a shit ton of people, living my dream since I was a little kid. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I got the same stuff back in the day. I used to get shit in underwear sent to me back in the 90s. So it's swear to God, like 3 or 4 times I got shit sent to me. Because people I had short hair. People hated that I had short hair. Back then you had to have long hair, and everybody called us a hardcore band, a bunch of short-haired pieces of shit. I love it. It pisses people off, and the world has come around. That I feel vindicated because the world has come around to my way of thinking about death metal. What's big right now? It's the stuff we helped start, and we stuck it out, and I feel vindicated for saying that death metal should be groovy all the time, and I'm happy that I stuck it out, and I don't care what the naysayers say. They can.
That's normally what happens when you're above your time, man.
Or you also the more you expose yourself, and that's what you do as a band. You're exposing yourself. You're making yourself vulnerable by putting yourself out there. The more you do that, the more you're gonna invite the positive and the negative. And it's never just it has to be that way. There's gonna be people who will be very vocal about the things that they don't like, and they'll just spill out negativity, and it's you just have to kind of grow a wall. You just have to grow a wall around yourself, and for of course, if it's certain people that you respect their opinion and they have something constructive to say, that's one thing. But if it's just some internet troll, you can't let it under your skin. You just can't. You just have to phase that out as noise, and
agree.
Just not let it affect you.
I've seen some.
I just try to have thick skin because a lot of times, it's coming from a place of insecurity. Because realistically, I mean, the average person who don't have much going for them, they probably want to trade places with me. So I don't really let it. I don't let it get under my skin at all. Actually,
Billy May, rest in peace, used to get so mad if somebody said something bad. You got to write something back. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Write something back right now. I'm like, if anything, I'm gonna feed the troll and get him more mad.
Yeah.
a lot of times people say negative stuff just because if they say anything positive, they know they won't get a reaction out of you. So if they know if you say something negative, pretty much.
Rage bait. That's it. It's I grew up. I'm sure you guys, we're all of basically the same. We're not the younger generation, but I am sure all of us grew up with a parent who said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. That's how I grew up. Listen, I have plenty of terrible things to say. I say them to my bandmates.
Yeah. You don't say them to, like, I always say
I don't post for that reason.
You can have strong opinions. You can have strong opinions, but what good does it do if you just say them to hurt somebody in their face? Like, hey, I don't need to like what you're doing. I don't need to care for what you're doing. I'm going to live my life, and it's just not going to faze me. But do I need to go out of my way to make up a post and mock you or whatever? That's where it's like, okay, you just have nothing better to do in your life. You just have you just basically showed proof that you have nothing else going on. That's just sad. And then, if you feed the troll, they're going to feel vindicated. They're going to feel like, oh, this worked, and they're going to just do more of it. The best thing is just ignore it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta feed the troll, man, with a nice little fist to the face.
You know what, Eston, you're totally right. Ryan does it. God bless him. He knows how to. he can get some people so bent out of shape. I don't know what, he'll just get people so bent out of shape that they get so mad. You can tell they're getting mad at him. And he's like, this is hilarious. He's like, I'm going to hide all of this so nobody sees it. And I'm just going to keep doing this to him.
Yeah.
It's a weird time when
I just don't have time for that.
I don't have time for it either. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to, somebody has like you were saying, Jacob, you said somebody has I've had a couple of people comment on our last album with some like legitimate, like criticism that I thought was, that's legitimate. He wasn't a jerk. He was a fan. He said, whatever. He didn't like the bass drum sound or whatever, He's like, oh, it could have been a little like this. I'm like, you know what? That's a fair criticism. I like the bass drum sound. You don't. And that's a fair criticism. Thanks for listening that intently that you actually had something decent to say. I'm not upset about it.
That's how I feel
That's good.
For the most part.
You know what, Chris? I have to just defend the German people right now, because German people always have this bad rep that they always pick out little things to criticize. Everyone says that. And it's true.
Oh my God, it's a total, we just did this in the group chat the other day. I swear to God, we did this German fan thing.
German fan, yeah.
Your live set absolutely sucked. It wasn't as good as last year.
100%. Everyone knows, and it is rooted in truth. Obviously, not everyone, but but you know what it is? And I can tell you from a German, the mindset is that if you have something negative to say, not negative, but constructive maybe, it shows that you care. It shows that you listened. It shows that you have a level of sophistication. And sure, some people are trolls, but in general, the German mindset is if you just say, oh, this is fucking awesome, this is fucking sick, you're really not saying anything. So you gotta say something that goes against that shows that you paid attention. And that is not a rude thing in Germany, but it could be perceived as that to like your average American. It just shows that you.
Of everybody who's.
It's so funny that we make fun of that all the time.
I do too.
But it's great. And what your point that you just made is a brilliant point, though, because it is. He said the show sucked. 90% of the time, nobody can hear anything, but this guy was actually listening.
Yeah.
To music and notice somebody fucked up. 90% of the time you could fuck something up and nobody noticed. A German will notice.
And they'll tell you.
Your guitarist was on the 5th fret here and you were on the 7th. I'll take a sip.
Yeah. No,
that's
it's
crazy attention to detail.
It's awesome,
though.
Misunderstanding. It's awesome. I love Germany, so it doesn't matter, because everybody's super friendly, even though they're trying to give me beer all the time, and I don't drink beer. But other than that,
that's how we show love.
Yeah. I just like, don't you have any bourbon?
No, maybe vodka if you're lucky.
And that's one thing, legitimate criticism, like people trying to share their genuine thoughts. But it is a strange time right now where it's monetized to say negative things, right? You've got a lot of people that just say shocking things, nasty things, going up to people in public and just saying something awful to them because it gets views, and then they're making millions of dollars off of just being the worst person imaginable. And so, we get a little bit of that in some of the comments and stuff there. How we're putting together music looks different now too. There's some bands even putting out digital only releases, and then some bands try to go the independent route. They don't want the label support. And I wanted to ask your thoughts about bands that crowdfund their recordings. We've seen this from bands like Wintersun and Artspire, but just asking the fans, give us your money and then we'll record the album.
I think it's smart, honestly. If you have the fan base established, if you're at a point where like Artspire is, and I don't need to care for their music, that's a different thing, but I think it's a smart decision to say, hey, at this point we have so much clout, we don't need the label. We can just do it ourselves. Smart.
I'm of the mind that it's a free market, and if you want to give your money to somebody to record, I would never do it personally. But if you want to give your money freely without coercion to a band and support them that way, I don't have a problem with it. I I don't personally like the practice, but like I said, it's a free market and your money's your money. And if you want to spend it that way, you can spend it that way, you know? So,
Yeah, I just feel like, with most bands, I just feel like you shouldn't leave it up to somebody else to control the destiny and the future of the band that you created. Because at the end of the day, nobody can tell you how to operate um, than you. So, yeah, I feel like some people it works, the label thing, the old school way of doing it, the labels and stuff like that. But if you're a go-getter, and your personality uh fits the independent route, um, then you just go that route. It's like I said, it's like the workplace. Some people could be the boss and other people could
Yeah,
be an employee. Not everybody is meant to be an
good
entrepreneur, man.
analogy.
Like
Good
not
analogy.
everybody,
I'm
not
a freelancer.
everybody,
I'm like that.
not
Like
everybody, not everybody is meant to punch the clock. Yes, some people could punch the clock, but other people are meant to be contractors and business owners and the CEO. So
If
that
it
I
comes
feel like
with
it's the
more work.
same. I feel like it's the same thing with bands. Yeah, some bands a label does work for them. Getting a booking agent and doing all that stuff, and that works for them. And then for other people like me, I'd rather just do everything on my own and just keep a tight knit circle of people who I trust, and I just kind of just talk to them and as far as the crowdfunding thing, I mean that's cool. You can make it a family. If your band is big enough where it's a community, where it's a family affair, then I mean, yeah, that's cool too. But I think in
Yeah.
this niche genre, that's kind of hard. It's kind of a hard thing to do. I think Obituary did that too. The
I think
crowdfunding.
Yeah. Another new
Yeah.
approach we see bands taking is the incorporation of artificial intelligence in a multitude of ways, whether it's album covers or there was a hit, I think the top of the country charts one week was an AI generated song. And just to pick on Chris here for a second, who I know loves Black Sabbath, Geezer Butler had said recently that he was using AI as a songwriting tool for his new solo album. How do you guys feel about AI and what should its role be when we're talking about music?
I guess I'll go first. I personally don't want to do it because I want to see how do I explain this? I want to see what I can develop out of my own mind without any help.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you could look at it as, well, I listen to other bands and I get influence from them. So why can't I listen to something AI generated and get influence from that? Maybe it hits something that I never hit before. I'm of two minds. I personally don't want to do it because I want to be purely creative from my own brain, and whatever seeps into my brain from the rest of humanity is what I want to spit out. You know what I'm saying? If I listen to another band, those are human beings who created that music, and I hope, and I want to spit out all my influences. Everything came from my brain through my fingers, and that's just me. I can understand people using it, and it's going to get to the point where nobody's going to be able to tell the difference. It's coming.
It's at that point now.
It's already there. Yeah.
Not so much.
Have you ever used the app Sonos?
No, I use.
Yeah.
Listen,
So
I use Claude.
that's an AI music app. You can make music on the AI app. It's just kind of like ChatGPT. You can create your own music. It's like ChatGPT. You could create your own music, put it in the software, and have them kind of like cook it up to where it's still your creation, but it's manipulated. So I actually like AI. I'm actually not one of the people who's against AI. I actually like it for the tool that it is. Because what I'm about to say is a little nuanced. I think AI in music is inevitable, and I like the AI in music. The problem with AI in music is when you try to monetize that shit. Now that's the problem. If you try to market it like, oh, this is a creation and I'm releasing an album and then trying to monetize the songs that was created in AI and trying to dress it like it was something that
So
was
you're trying,
done.
Yeah.
you're trying to
But
Plagiarism
if
at
it,
that point.
but if I'm like, hey, I'm just making this AI like song or whatever, and I'm just using it, say, as a voice, like a track to just play in the background or something like that, or I'm just playing it where I'm not monetizing it at all, then I'm okay with that.
For mock tracks, scratch tracks, like just to allude to what Chris was saying, using it as a source of inspiration, I guess I can see that point. I never thought about it that way, but sure, it is, because ultimately AI spits out whatever amalgamation of things that it absorbed that was created by humans. So whether I'm influenced by band XYZ or by whatever AI gives me, I can see that point. However, I think it's a slippery slope because it will make people lazier and it will make people
Yeah.
rely on AI more than they rely on their brains. And over time, I think it will lead to a degradation of everything. Right now, we already have this term AI slop.
Yeah.
So right now, AI stands for sloppy, low quality output, whether it's graphic, video, music. It is now branded with this slop thing. So I think it's, first of all, it's difficult because when people will find out something is AI, or when you straight up say it's AI, it degrades already in people's minds like, oh, it's this AI slop. And that now you're bunched together with this category of slop, which I don't want to be associated with. I don't
I
want
feel like
people to
AI
to
slop
stamp
is
that label, that AI label. And I also see that over time, it's gonna dumb us down to the point where now we need those tools. Now we have to rely on those tools, and it will decrease our ability to use our brain and our own creativity.
I
That's
think
well
I
said.
think when you mention AI slop, my interpretation of AI slop. Well, let me start off by saying this. I believe that on most of these apps, about 90% of everything you see on these apps is AI, from the videos to the voiceovers to the captions,
Yeah. So
everybody,
much of it already.
everything's using AI. I'm sorry to break it to people, but majority of what you see on the internet, from the companies that you follow to everything, the websites that are even being created, it's all AI. So for the most part, that's what it is. But I consider AI slot, AI pretty much like demo version, beta version AI, like AI that is not very that's easy to identify, the AI that's easy to identify. Because like I said, AI is mostly everywhere anyway, but you just don't know what it is. The AI slop is the AI that is you
The
can just
low bottom.
it's low
Yeah.
quality, but
Yeah.
the high grade stuff is the stuff that's easy to manipulate the people.
But you know, it's
Saying.
just I just so I'm in the web development business, and I use Claude a lot to help me out, just to make coding faster. I already know how to code, but it helps me out a lot of ways. But I know people who make websites completely from Claude or something, and I can see it, and then I can go scan over to two other websites and see the exact same thing
Cookie cutter.
spit out. Because like you were saying, it's taking all the human knowledge. There's nothing fresh. You can't, even the language that's written is so perfect,
Stale.
sterile,
Yeah.
and it's not perfectly targeted to the company, because there's not a human being there actually taking input from another human being. That is not getting pushed out. Knowledge isn't getting pushed out anywhere except in a room between two people or four people. And that's where real creativity comes from what I do. I've lost some clients because I got an AI website, and I get it, and they get it, and I look at it and I'm like, this is just terrible. It looks and sounds like every other AI generated website. You can tell the colors
Yeah.
are the same.
That's the thing, is AI can't create anything new. It's taking from existing sources, and largely those it's being stolen from those sources.
I
And
think
so
if any
I'm a professor too, and so I'm getting these AI papers all the time. They're just so bland and generic. And same thing with music then. When I'm talking about music, I want to hear something new, something I've never heard before. And if people are using AI to create music, then they're creating music that is essentially a mathematical average of existing music. And we're already oversaturated out there. I think AI should be used for tedious things in life, or things like detecting cancer, or maybe have AI brush our teeth for us or something. Not art and music and writing. That's the fun
Yeah.
stuff. That's what we want to do. So that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah,
Isn't it a little ironic that the creation of AI was meant to be innovative, but it's the last thing that it does?
Yeah. Very
Well,
high
It's good
error
for
rates too, up to
automation, automation
80%
of
error
it's
rates.
processes.
just the
That's what it's
world's
good
it's
for,
just the world's greatest aggregator of information. That's all.
Yeah.
So where you what like you were saying, Kyle, it for detecting cancer, it probably it has a database bigger than any database in the world,
Right.
and can find that the one case of this cancer in Sweden in 1797, the cells looked like this, and AI can spit back and say it could be this type of cancer that a doctor would never think of because
Yeah.
it's so out of
Vast.
the
Right.
basic knowledge. So that I think, like what you're saying, is absolutely right. And I wanted to go to one more point. Since you're a college professor, I bet you would rather have somebody write a thesis that was interesting and maybe not perfectly written, as opposed to a bland, sterile thesis
Yeah.
that's perfectly written in perfect English with perfect punctuation, right?
Yeah, this is one of those things that I feel like we don't really talk about much, but you get these AI papers and you can tell they're AI, but they kind of largely have the information correct. But then I'll get papers that are turned in that aren't very good, but I can tell they're trying. And so then you almost grade those more generously because you want to bring them up and give them credit for attempting the stuff and bring them up to where the AI papers are. So you have this weird
Yeah.
divide there where
Yeah,
you've got people that are not genuinely learning, and then people that maybe aren't the best at stuff, but you don't want to disadvantage them from the people that are doing things in an unethical way.
yeah, that's
Okay, so
very
completely
interesting.
unrelated to music, Kyle, but since we're on a topic, I personally think that AI has no place in schools because if you want to teach kids how to think, not what to regurgitate, AI is the devil, right? The Antichrist. So
Yeah.
you don't want kids to just write a perfect paper that they didn't even write, but just regurgitating things. You want them to absorb and understand, and in their own words, be able to explain an issue, whether it's
Critical thinking.
math or
Right.
critical thinking and actual deep understanding of knowledge. Isn't that what schools should be about? Not
I
like
agree, but when
regurgitating
you
facts.
I agree, but when you dumb the people down, this is the result of dumbing people down. You don't get any of that stuff. That's where the
Dumbing
AI.
people
That's where
down is
the,
great for business.
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Not only is it dumb. Well, not only is it great for business, but at the very least, let's just say the people they're still intelligent to a degree. Um, at the very least, what you don't get is any type of groundbreaking innovation like how it used to be, where people just came up with things that were serviceable to society, just mainly out of the creation of their mind and out of boredom, honestly. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you don't have that anymore because because of social media, everybody's trying to chase the same shit over
Or
and over.
when they
You know,
do it, then it's not profitable. There's still people inventing, creating things, but if there's not a profit, or to get bought out and just buried. But one of the big issues too with that stuff is the emphasis is on standardized testing. It's not on actual learning. It's about checking the box, getting the job, getting the
And that's what AI will
scholarship
do.
or whatever. And so, yeah, AI will check those boxes, and that's what they hope. They just want to get into their careers, get their job. They're not worried about the learning. And so we have kind of more fundamental problems about why people are using the AI, because
Yeah.
they just want to succeed, and that's what people are using now.
well, I think a
Yeah.
lot of times with education, I feel like with especially with the like No Child Left Behind and all the stuff that came from like my generation, we're just pushing kids through the education system. I think a lot of it is what you said. They're not really teaching children to really learn. They teaching them just to regurgitate and you know, push that stuff out. So at the end of the day, it does come out. It does come down to the educators to really push that. But at the same time, when the educators are not getting paid a livable wage, they're not giving a shit about you know,
Yeah.
we pouring back into these children because I'm not getting paid enough to even be here in the first place. I barely had enough gas to get in the car to come to work today. I don't care about your kid.
Yeah,
You
now
know,
teachers
so-
are using AI to grade and everything.
Yeah, you
Recruiters are
know.
using AI to hire people. People write the resumes
I
in
try
AI.
not to.
It's like
I try not to put
everything's
blame.
AI.
I try not to put blame on everything. You know, I mean, the education system. Yeah, it is. I mean, respectfully, it is. It's not that great. You know, a lot of people are reading on the 6th, 7th grade level. So you know, there's a lot of people that you know, they got to do a lot of work. But AI just exacerbates that. So at the very least, you know.
I am so lucky. My kids' schools have been so good. Now I'm sure they push you towards the test, but I meet with all the teachers, and a lot of the teachers were really great, and they challenged the kids, and
Great. Yeah.
it's awesome. Like I went to my son's economics teachers thing last year. I sat in the class, me and her sat in an hour talking about economics and all the different, and I grilled her because I wanted to make sure she was talking not just one type of economic. know? I was like, do you teach Art Laffer? I'm like, all this stuff. I'm like making sure that every side is covered. And she did. She's like, oh yeah. She's like, I teach laissez-faire. I teach, side economics. And I'm like, all right, it's good. You're getting the full, my kids getting a full range of education, and
That's the way it
that's,
should be.
yeah, and I'm lucky. I mean, my kid's in a great school now, and he's doing very well. And he knows how to think. He's a problem solver, and he learned all that. Thank God, from the school system here, because they're great teachers. And
That's great.
School system is the school you choose is very important.
It makes a difference. I failed algebra 3 times when I was in school. 3 times until I found one teacher who said, "Oh, look at it this way." All of a sudden.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I had an A in algebra, all because one person took the time to figure out how I was thinking and what I was doing wrong, and said, "Just look at it this way." And I was like, "Oh my fucking God, gotta be kidding!"
Some teachers just really
hard to do that with so much focus on online learning now too. One more thing I'll mention about education.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, it's very hard, and the AI is way harder.
AI teachers, like, how is an online AI teacher, like online only school, how is he gonna be able to talk to every kid differently to understand, okay, this kid maybe needs a different angle, like Chris was saying, like, understanding that everyone learns a little bit differently, and sometimes you need to be able to connect on a human level.
Too much nuance.
And AI will just not be able to do that, not for a long time anyway.
Or one other thing is I'm a psychologist, and there's been some people trying to create like AI clinicians or something, and thankfully most of those have been abandoned because immediately they were telling people to kill themselves and stuff like that.
I've heard.
I read about some of that.
Yeah, outrageous stuff.
Insane.
One final thing I'll say on education before I get us back on track here is that another obstacle is coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, when we had to change to online learning. And one of the things that was happening there through K through 12 that has been an issue out here that we noticed is that they moved the goalposts on students, because the online learning, just everybody would have been flunking out. So what they did was made it so that nobody could get less than 60%. They were moving everybody forward regardless of performance. And so then that was a huge learning curve following the pandemic, is when they get to this level, the university level, then they realize, when they don't do things, they're not getting a 60, they're getting a 0. And so then suddenly they have to really kind of adjust to real life. And maybe that plays a role too, in that they're just trying to check the box because they didn't really have to learn during the pandemic either. And so we're in this awkward time for this young generation where they've got a lot to navigate. But can we talk back about touring here for a few more minutes? So, Chris, you mentioned you're not really a beer drinker or anything, but I was wondering if you guys could maybe show us behind the curtain a little bit. It wasn't that long ago that there was this whole kind of controversy with the Van Vitriol talking about nose beers and all this stuff. To what extent would you say that like drugs. Is that something that you're running into? Do you see a lot of bands kind of using hard illicit substances? How big of a part is that of touring life, would you say, for most bands or even most death metal bands?
I think when it comes to alcohol and drug usage, it kind of goes back to that saying about money, where the more money you have, it kind of brings out more of who you are in the first place. So it's kind of how I feel about like alcohol and drug use. Like if you're already where alcohol, at least a lot of it, it kind of just brings out more of who you are in the first place. So especially when you're on tour with people, if you're just like a lying, abusive, conniving piece of shit, like alcohol and drugs is only gonna bring that out quicker.
Yeah.
Probably won't last in the band very. Honestly, you probably won't last long enough
No,
to be on the
you
tour in the
won't
first place.
Yeah.
You know what?
So-
You know what I always what band was it? I can't remember the band. They were complaining about not making any money on tour, and I'm like, how much money did you spend on beer and booze and weed?
Yeah. It's
You know,
expensive.
It's expensive. I'm like, listen, I like to drink. I don't get fucked up, but I like to have a drink after the show or before, a couple of drinks before the show, and that's it. None of my guys do drugs. Maybe a little pot here and there. I think I saw more. I think I saw more drug abuse in the '90s than I do now. But
Sure.
but I don't know. I don't know if everybody who's vaping is actually vaping pot either. So, like I don't know. I mean, I know some bands, I'm not going to mention bands' names, they're complete fucking mess of drugs.
We
Yeah.
all know. We all know those bands.
Yeah. Everybody knows the bands that are messes of drugs. I think it's terrible. You're just pissing money away for nothing. I don't
I don't
can't.
think it's sustainable physically. I don't
Yeah,
think it's
it gets
physically-
it gets
Touring is
sloppy with
hard enough
the
on
it gets
body.
sloppy with the business aspect
Yeah.
of it. too.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying. It's like, okay, you came home with X amount of money. You could have had 3 times the amount if you didn't fucking, I don't know, if you didn't fucking buy 7 cases of beer every night.
Yeah. And also, if you want to be doing this for years to come, like touring is already hard on everything, right? On the body and the psyche and everything. And now you're adding getting fucked up and being hungover and all. Like I physically just wouldn't be able to do that. I might have a few drinks, like Chris was saying, maybe 1 or 2 beers after the show. Do I get fucked up on tour? Maybe once if the timing is right. I have a day off. I don't know. Like sure,
yeah.
there might be that occasional night, but I can't get fucked up and then be back on my shit like the next day. And touring is not just playing a show; it's everything. Sometimes I have to drive. Sometimes I have to tour manage. We have to sell merch. We have to like logistically,
Time
do a
zone
bunch of stuff.
differences.
And
Yeah.
imagine you have somebody in a band who just wakes up wasted and is not pulling his weight. Now everybody else has to work harder because that one person can't pull his shit together. And if that becomes a pattern, then that person is not going to last. Not in our band anyway. It's not not gonna work.
You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like you were saying, you got to be on. You got to even like, I don't understand just being, like, and I've experienced it because I like you said, sometimes you have that window where you can say, hey, I can get fucked up. I don't have to do anything tomorrow. I'm off.
Right.
But then being hungover in the van for 8 hours is the worst.
Miserable.
It's miserable. Just being in a
Yeah.
van is miserable. Like, why do you want to multiply that?
Yeah.
I just just the obscene waste of money that it is. It's just in my dollars and cents with how tight touring is for let's call them mid-level bands, right? Like like us, like Defeated Sanity, etc. We're not top of the line bands. We're mid-level bands. We're living on margins.
Mm-hmm.
Where you buy a case of beer that's maybe food.
Gas at the very least.
Gatorade that's important, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you're living on such margins and then you blow it all Now, listen, if you're 18 and you don't care about the money, blow it. But when you get older and money's actually important, you know, I have a thing with my wife. The deal is with the band is I can do whatever I want as long as I come home with some money.
Yep.
You know, that's the deal. I can't. Nothing can come out of the family's pocket at all.
Oh yeah, not
You
at
know?
all.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm cognizant of that. You know, so we don't piss money away on. Let's get 3 cases of beer. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go spend $700 on dinner.
And
You know-
and don't forget if you are a band that tours a lot and you choose that kind of lifestyle, touring style, it will inevitably lead to addiction. There's like no other way. Like if you
Absolutely.
if you
Yes.
tour 3-4 months out of the year and you're used to doing nose beers or boozing or whatever every night, I mean, how can you not get hooked on it? And then you have a problem, you know, and not just a monetary one, but in all areas of your life. So I don't think, again, in the field Sanity, we are all thankfully on the same page that wouldn't fly, not for a single person in that band. And the music's too demanding too. Like you can't memorize and play and reproduce this type of music on the level that we want it to be at, like, and get fucked up every night. It's just like it's not humanly possible. There's no way.
I don't know
It's
how.
a marathon, not a race, man.
Yeah. It's a listen. I'm almost 60 years old, man. I can't.
Yeah.
Touring is rough on me, really rough. You know, and adding alcohol or drugs to it would just, like you said, the longevity thing. It's I'd fucking die. I almost die every time we tour. I can't walk. You know, my wrists hurt. Everything hurts all the time.
Yeah.
And then I could just
Shit, I already feel that. I'm barely not even 40 yet, but I already feel that.
Yeah. So it's, you know, I'm 6'4" too. Like living in a van at 6'4", I can't even. I can't even lie down.
Have that advantage.
Yeah, I can't even lie down across a bunk. You know, I have to sit up. It's like it hurts all the time, and then I'm just gonna compound that with drugs. It's like
Now the only thing I'll do, you know, like I don't really smoke weed at home. I used to, but you know, I gave that up a few years ago. But on tour, like an edible before bed, that I'll do because it just helps me sleep, especially if we're sleeping in a van, you know, in the RV or whatever, like popping like a gummy and just going to sleep, and like super low dosage, but that helps me, and then I just sleep better, and the next morning I'm refreshed.
That's great. Yeah, but that's not abusing drugs.
No.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
like
see
I
it
said,
that way
like
anyway. Some people might
like
say.
like my guys smoke pot, but it's not like all day long a constant.
Exactly.
You know, it's and I don't have a problem with it. To me, that's like I'm having a couple of drinks. If they want to have a joint or whatever, But if somebody's like whips out a needle.
No, yeah, totally. No, weed. I don't count weed as
They're going to
drugs.
get
To me, weed's
left
fine.
on the side of the road. I mean, I had this. I say the drug use was worse in the 90s because I saw so much of it on tour. But I mean, I went through it with my first guitarist. All of a sudden, stuff was missing from our studio.
Yeah.
He was hooked on drugs and he was stealing stuff. And then we played a show and he was so fucked up that he just literally stood there in front of 500 people. And just his guitar just fed back, and he was I had to fire him. It was the hardest thing I ever did.
Yeah,
Because it was like my first writing partner, and I had to fire him, and it was like the most horrible thing in the world. But the drugs, man, it's not. It's a one. Look what happened. Look what happened. Oh God, what's the planetary duality? What's that? What's that?
Faceless.
Look what happened to that. All that talent in the world.
Yeah.
And just
it's sad. It's sad, but it's also like, you know, I mean, in his case, he's the band leader, and you know, it's if I was the band leader, I wouldn't allow that kind of stuff in my band, right?
Yeah.
But if the band leader is doing it, the kind of people like you're gonna just create the environment for it. You can just create the environment down.
Yeah, it goes right. It goes from the head down. I'm just talking about the absolute tragedy.
Yeah.
And the waste of talent, and then to watch somebody fall apart in real time,
right,
in front of your eyes, in front of the public's eyes, it's just so sad and
Yeah.
upsetting. That's kind of what I was talking about. Like, why? Just like, God, you have all this talent. Why? How did you get messed up in this? Why? You know, it's like so sad. It's just so sad.
It's sad.
So, speaking of bands button heads and stuff too, you've all mentioned how tough that touring cycle can be. Do you guys have any tips for kind of de-escalating tensions, or do you find that have you had a lot of kind of butting heads as you're getting not a lot of sleep?
Like within the band members or with other bands? Or...
Yeah, either within the band or even with other bands you're touring with, or any tips for just keeping tensions low when you're not getting a lot of sleep?
Usually, just understand that usually it's not worth starting a fight. There's not many things it's worth starting a fight over. Most of the time, it's just better to just let it go and focus on your job. Now, if you have somebody in the band that you're butting heads with, I think some characters might just not be compatible, and that can be a problem. And then you know, oftentimes it has to go separate ways eventually. Like, you know, you have a band of like 3, 4, 5 guys, and everyone needs to have their role and needs to be comfortable in that role. If 2 people are competing for one thing, you know, too much, I think it's a problem. And you just have to understand, okay, this guy is maybe the lead songwriter, but this guy maybe takes care of some management decisions, and maybe this guy takes care of, I don't know, like everyone needs to fill their role. If 2 people are fighting for one spot, I think that's an issue. Unless you have like maybe like a dream team of like 2 minds working together, like the McCartney-Lennon situation, okay, that can work. But, you know, it's very difficult. I think everyone just has to be comfortable in their carved out space and leave space to the other people in their respective space.
Yeah, that's a so externally, not inside the band, if there's tension, I find that, and we've had some issues, but I find that 90% of the time a well-placed joke
de-escalate the tension.
So when we toured with Deicide, I love this story. We toured with Deicide, and we were playing at oh God, I can't remember the place. Anyway, the backstage is literally, it's in California. Everybody plays there, and I can't remember it, in San Diego. Anyway, there's a
Brick by Brick?
Yeah, Brick.
Yeah.
So you know the little
it's closing now, by the way. It's gone.
Is it really?
Yeah, it just closed like this month, or it's closing this month.
Oh, what a shame. Anyway, you know how there's that small room next to the stage on the right-hand side.
Tiniest
Right.
backstage room ever, yeah.
So Deicide's playing, right? And Ryan decides to take a girl in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Deicide gets off stage. Glenn walks in there and finds 2 naked people in that room.
Oh shit.
He fucking freaks out. Fucking screaming, we're off the tour. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh my fucking God, oh my God. The tour manager comes up to me. He's like, let's just wait. So we all go to sleep, and I think we all slept like in the parking lot. The bus was there. Glenn gets up the next day, puts his arm around me, and goes, fucking kids, right? cracking up. And he broke all the tension. He's like, you know,
Yeah.
He started telling me stories, and we were laughing, and it was all over with, all with a joke. You know,
things can get heated in a moment, you know, and sometimes
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
and
you shouldn't burn bridges in that moment when things get heated.
right. And
That's
he
a good rule.
That he could have thrown us off tour, and he decided the next day to be an ace dude and make a really fucking funny joke, and he went right to me because he knew I was an old man, and he said fucking kids, right? And I was cracking up.
Yeah.
You know, and
Because
that's
Glenn's been in the business long enough. He understands it's you know, it's not worth, like, sure, he might lose his shit in a moment, but it's not worth throwing a band off a tour, you know. Like, he understands that he knows that it's just sometimes like nobody got harmed, just let it go. It's funny in a way, you know. Maybe in that moment you're like, fuck this, I want this, I need the space right now, and
right.
Now this kid is here, you know, but then, you know, you sleep over it, and you're just, is it really worth, like, you know, it's maybe, you know, maybe laugh at it.
Yeah, and we
you know,
did.
laugh at it.
we did, and then now every time Ryan sees him, he cracks a joke, and it's all good. But I mean, we've had some run-ins and with other bands, fighting about stage time or whatever. But usually, a well-placed joke grounds everybody, and then you start from zero.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess everybody realizes, you know what, it's not that deep. This isn't life or death. Nobody's gonna die. We'll figure it out. And the dropping that joke just gives everybody that little bit of perspective to cool off. That's how I do it. That's how my guitarist Chris McCarthy does it. That's how Ryan does it. That's how we all do it. And then to Jacob, to your point about internally, you're absolutely right about everybody having their own space, but if everybody doesn't have the top mind goal in mind, and everybody isn't on the same road to that goal,
that's a problem already.
Somebody's got to go, because it's not going to work if everybody doesn't have the big picture. That to me is the most important part. Any band differences can be straightened out as long as everybody has the big picture in mind and realizes that there's 4 people in a band. Everybody has different personalities, and as long as the personalities are basically working together, everything.
Yeah, the us, not the me, really. That's if everybody's on that mindset.
Yeah, and I'm all about being an individual, but I mean, a band is a collective, and it has to be.
A band's a band, yeah.
Yeah, it's a band, right? I mean, it's a collective thing, and it's like if one person's going to keep going off on their own, saying I'm taking this path, it's just never going to work.
It's like a sports team, man. You got to make sure that the chemistry, everybody's all there.
Yep.
Me personally, I like to think of myself as kind of diplomatic in a lot of ways. I try not to let my emotions get the best of me, with a lot of situations. So externally, I haven't really encountered, honestly, I haven't really encountered a lot of problems internally or externally with a lot of bands because I just kind of realized a long time ago, you can't have 2 bulls in a pen. So, if I kind of see myself in a band environment or any kind of environment where it's like I'm with another bull like myself, I kind of know how to like pull back, and kind of just play my position. I'm kind of old school, but kind of not at the same time. I'm just all about just staying in your lane and just having respect for everybody involved. So internally, externally, I just give everybody the respect. Okay, if we don't see eye to eye, all right, cool. We don't see eye to eye. You go your way, I go mine. Like I said, like I use the analogy of the workplace. Like not everybody at the workplace you gonna get along with, but I'll still say hi, good morning to you. Like I'm not gonna treat you like an asshole or anything like that. But just certain times it just, we not really vibing. Like if it don't vibe, it don't vibe. I'm not gonna fit square into the circle. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly. Not everyone's gonna be your friend. Some people you just maintain a professional relationship with, and that's where it ends. Other people you hang with, you vibe with. Okay, cool. But you're not gonna find that in everybody. Some people are just gonna be cordial, and that's it.
Yeah. Some people just strictly music. They just want to play and go about their business. And other people, like where many of us, we kick back, sit back, joke, laugh, ha ha ha. Some dudes, they just, they're just very stoic. They don't really want to talk. They don't really want to hang out, whatever. But it's all about. I brought up the sports analogy because when I'm in my position or like a leader of a band, kind of captain of the ship kind of situation. You just want to make sure everything is even keel. Everybody's on the same page. Like a coach, you want to communicate with the other players on your team. Like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, well, to get there, this is what you need to do. This is what I need to do. And then, at the end of the day, we all men. So I feel like we should all, if the respect level is there, we should all communicate with each other, good, bad, and indifferent, with whatever grievances that we might have. Even if if it get too heated, then we just put a pin in it and then we come back to it later. You know what I'm saying?
And that said, sometimes the chemistry doesn't work out, and you just gotta split. Sometimes that's
it's like any other relationship in life, man.
You can't force it.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. It's like any relationship in life. Sometimes the first couple days go great, and then the other day it's like, oh man, I can't see this girl.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. The honeymoon's over.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, just some final thoughts here. You guys span some different generations. You've shared a lot of great experiences. Is there anything that we haven't covered about being a musician or being a touring musician, or that maybe people don't know, or that you'd like to share?
Hmm.
I mean, we could be talking for hours more, I'm sure. You know, it's a lot more to get into the weeds off, but yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground. Yes, yes. There's always
I
more.
think
Yeah.
I think one of the things is just make sure to just stay true to yourself and uh not be so capricious, because trends come and trends come and they go. So you want to try to be grounded in something, because if you're not grounded in something, then one day you're gonna be playing this genre and the
Yeah,
next day
always
you're
keep
playing that
chasing.
genre.
Yeah,
Yeah, and your band is gonna be a reflection of that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't I couldn't agree with you more on that point, that the most important thing is to stay true to yourself when you're doing this, because music is such a personal thing. If you keep, like you were saying, Esten, if you keep chasing trends, first of all, if you're chasing a trend, you're never going to be the trend.
You're always on the back end of it.
Because
Yeah.
you're always on the back end because the trend
Yeah.
already started. So that's the first thing. Especially if you want to do this for a long time, because I mean, you see it happen. A band gets big because they trended, and then the minute the fans aren't there, they break up. That's because they're chasing a trend. They're not in it for the long haul. They're not in it for the
Yep.
the
For the
sometimes
right reasons, really.
sometimes
That's
20.
what I characterize as selling out, by the way. I ain't mean to cut you off, but that's when I think of selling out, that's what I define as selling out. Is you not doing stuff for the integrity and for the love of it. You just doing it just for the vanity of it.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more on that. I'm really passionate about this because if you guys know my history, I mean, I've stuck with the same type of music for years and years and years, and never, maybe change here and there, tweak things on an album and this, but the basic same premise has always been the same. I've always believed in it. I'll always, and it'll go that way until I'm done. And you gotta stay true to who you are and what you love. If you put out crazy technical shit like you do, I mean, you love it and you're committed to it and you want to perfect it. And every time you do a new album, you want to be better at it and you want to give fans what they expect, but more, and you just gotta be true to that, be true to that vision. And if you're selling out, Eston. If every album's different because now using samples is a trend, and all of a sudden you have 1,000 samples on your album when your last 6 didn't have. It's like, what are you doing, bro?
Thankfully, that's super easy to spot these bands that are just like, you can just tell they're hopping on the bandwagon, because like in Defeated Sanity's case, for example, we try not to repeat the same thing. We take the approach that we're like, well, let's explore this and explore that. But those are things that we want to do. And they're usually deeply unpopular. They're just things that we want to do. It's not like we're like, oh, this is the thing now, we're going to do that. We're usually going the opposite of whatever the thing is. And do something different.
Yeah, good for you, though. I mean, that's, that you guys have always been like that. That's what makes you adventurous and exciting.
That's kind of how I trying to do in general.
And, we always come back, though. I mean, it's like one day I feel like I just want to play simple shit and rage and just feel the energy of the music. But then I get bored, and then I want to play explore what else I can do and think a little outside of the box. And then you're like, oh, but now I need to feel that raw energy again. So it's a pendulum swinging back and forth inside of us, and our music is reflecting it in a way. But that is still being true to ourselves. How I feel it's still being true to ourselves, but not because we're not following what the broad trend is. We're just kind of, what we feel like we appreciate, we want to do. It's still the right reasons, and it's not. Then you can spot those bands that are doing it for the commercial reasons, you can spot them from a mile
mile?
away. Like I know we all can.
Yeah, I think we all can. You can see it when they're on stage.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
That's where it really comes out, because you can see that the passion really isn't there.
Yeah,
Nope, not at
exactly.
all.
It's
Yeah,
like
you can.
we're painting by numbers, and even
You're
we're
just kind
doing,
of phoning it in. You're just going through the motions. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And the backing
know?
tracks, always the backing tracks. That's a
It's
whole
like a
nother.
It's like a quarterback coming into the game and didn't even go over the playbook, man. You just-
Yeah.
Yeah.
The current Motley Crue live shows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on.
I
Stop.
think another piece of advice too, just to kind of add on to it, is it's the saying, perfect is the enemy of good. You know, you just don't want to when you make music, it's very easy to be your own worst critic, but you also want to try to find that balance between trying to create something perfect and
Yeah.
something that's below average.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
100%.
Sometimes you have to be. You know, it's funny. Oh my God, I'm going to carry this conversation on now. You know, when we were recording the last album, we did it at my house. We did the guitars at my house and the bass at my house. And when you do that, you can be perfect, because you can do 72,000 takes.
Yeah.
You can edit. You can do all kinds of stuff. And me and Chris McCarthy made a deal with each other. When we were recording, we said, if it's good, we'll do another retake, but we're not doing 1,000 retakes. We'll do two or three, and that's it. We're not going to sit here until it's perfect. If something,
I like that.
If we play a
You
part,
need the energy in there.
yeah. Well, if we play a part 3 times and the best take has the slightest flub in it, we're keeping the slightest flub.
Mhm.
Always. Yes.
And so be it. Oh, there's a finger noise here. Well, too bad.
That's how I record
especially in
too.
the age of AI.
Good.
You know, especially now, you were saying enemy of the good, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Especially now, where everything can be absolutely perfect and indistinguishable from human, from mechanical. It's just it can now be achieved. But now, what is it worth? It's worth nothing anymore. So now I think the trend is, hey, there's a noise. There's maybe a little, I don't know, he didn't hit the snare in the perfect spot or whatever. I think that's good. I think that's now.
Well, none of my favorite albums sound
actively
perfect.
cherished.
It's how you know
Yeah.
it's not AI now.
That's how you know it's exactly now in the age of AI. I think it's going to be, people are going to see that as a quality if there are human flaws on an album.
Absolutely, because that's just the way it is. It just adds more personality to it.
all the classic death metal albums that we all love, all the classic ones, I guarantee you, all of us could sit and pick out mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
And they still all rule.
Especially with the transitions and
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's
there's no
bass drums go like
album
this.
of mine that's perfect. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And don't even isolate the tracks. If you isolate the tracks, oh my God.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, you
Got it,
can't do that.
No, the isolated.
It lives, it breathes. That's music, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
unfortunately, a little bit of that got lost. That's a whole nother.
I feel like timeless music is not perfect.
Yeah.
No.
So
Unless you're listening to like Chick Corea and stuff like that, then it's perfect and it's.
To me, it's they probably wouldn't say it's perfect.
I
but
know,
yes,
I know.
I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, it's absolutely perfect. They would probably say no.
I listen to like Al Di Meola and Chick Corea, and I'm like, how do these guys do this live?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's not one fucking mistake.
Al Di Meola is an amazing performer.
Oh,
But
wait,
you know
wow,
what it is?
yeah.
You know
him,
what it
John
is?
McLaughlin, and Paco de Lucia together,
Yeah.
The
live,
trio.
and you listen to it, and your head just wants to explode because
But
it's done.
they're just so good that they're really what we would define as a mistake is not a mistake to them, because they will recover from the mistake in a way where it is not what they intended to play, and they might maybe even call it a mistake, but to me it's not a mistake because they recovered from it so well
Yes.
that now this is just they took a different route to get to the same point.
Weave it into
know?
the context.
Yeah.
Poetry, emotion.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. I am astounded by those guys. I'm just like
Yeah.
astounded
Oh,
by their ability,
it's-
their music, and like you said, their musical ability. Oh, that's a wrong note. Changed a whole song live, and everybody's in sync together, and
Mhm.
nobody's out of key.
Yep.
It's like,
And
man,
even if they're out of key
It's
for a moment,
effortless.
they find back into the key, and now it's an outside inside sort of situation. It's like, oh, that's jazz. I mean, that's
right, they'll
jazz.
figure out a way to modulate right to another key and be perfect. And it's like,
Yep.
oh,
No, it's absolutely it's amazing. I could never do it. I think there's people that operate on a whole nother level, and without ever having the ability to use any of the technology that I mean, you could talk about all the classical masters in that same sense, right? Like all they had was pen and paper, not even like a feather, quilt and paper and a piano, and they came up with all this stuff. And now I need all this. I need all this technology to write a song. Like
Some of these
You don't.
artists didn't
All
even
you
know
need
how
is
to
this.
read and write.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're debilitating ourselves, and I'm including myself with all the technology that we have now. We're outsourcing brain capacity to technology, and we're not going to gain that back easily, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you know what? It's also, I have to say, it's also a blessing as my life has gotten busier with kids,
Oh yeah.
running my business,
Oh,
like
I'm guilty too.
with everybody in my band in basically a different state. All this
Mhm.
technology, not AI, but all the computer-aided technology, being able
Yep.
to record at home, it's a blessing because I can still play music because of it. If I had to go to a recording studio and live there for a week, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the
times have
advances
changed.
right
Certainly,
there.
it's just different.
So
different times now.
there is also a big blessing in all this technology too that we should at least acknowledge because we've been shitting on it for 2 hours. So
Yeah, no, I think it's just a different time we live in, and yeah, the way the pace of life has changed to a point where without these tools now, we wouldn't be able to survive, perhaps. But 200 years ago, life was different, and
Yes.
Sure, there was some privilege. A lot of these, classical composers and thinkers, they might have had privilege and a support system that allowed them to just sit there at the piano or over a piece of paper and think all day. We might not have that, but it's a whole nother the modern times versus how people lived. It's almost it's a vicious circle now where we do need these tools to be able to stay on top of things which they didn't have and didn't need back then.
yeah. It's just you know what? I'll never forget my father brought home this 1980, it was a Commodore VIC-20, right? He brought that home.
Oh yeah.
And we were sitting playing with it, and my father was just sitting there. And I'm like, Dad, what's wrong? He's like, I grew up, I didn't even have a refrigerator. And he was just, jaw was on the floor that he was looking at this. So I think also it's kind of cool because if you look back as you were a kid, you're like, wow, the world has changed so much, and I've been a part of it.
So much.
And
So
that's
much,
that's a really cool, when you really think about that and look at that, you're living history. And it's, I don't know, I'm a history freak. So like,
Yeah,
Me too.
so
it is one of the coolest things to be, even in the most tangential way, we're all part of history. And-
Overwhelmed. Our
Yes.
brains are not designed to handle this rate of change, and that's what's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
speaking
yeah,
of
yeah.
history, there's this quote, this historian, I don't know the name, but it struck me, this quote where he was equating 6 months in 2025 or whenever I heard this, 6 months in 2025, the change that occurs over a 6 months period is about equal to the change of a lifetime of a peasant in medieval Europe. So he saw about as much change over the course of a lifetime, 70 years. Or I don't know how long a lifetime was back then, probably a little shorter. And we now see that in 6 months. We have no chance to adapt that quickly. It's impossible. The rate.
And as you get older, it gets harder because listen, I'm having trouble keeping up with. Thank God I'm retiring in a year or two, but I'm having trouble keeping up with all the technology for the web.
Yeah.
It's just getting
Yeah.
it's getting insane.
Yeah.
When I was 18, when I was 20 or whatever, 22 or however old when the web first started coming out, I could sit there and devour everything because I had the energy to stay up all night and learn how to code. Now I'm like, oh my God, I got to learn this.
And
Well,
it's going to change again next year anyway.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then I'm like, I got to take Alex to school. I got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got no time for this, and I don't drink Red Bull, so you know.
So to close out here, anything anyone wants to plug here? If I get this edited in time, I'll mention that people can meet me in Eston at the end of the month here at the Ohio Death Fest. My band Maimed plays the pre-fest,
nice.
and Vulnificus plays the fest proper. But what's everybody else got going on?
I think Vaughn's actually attending that. If you run into him, say what's up.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look out for him.
We're going to Europe next month and doing a festival run.
Sick.
Yeah.
Where are you guys playing? Which festivals?
Brutal Assault, Alcatraz,
Nice.
Partisan, Blood, Death Feast,
Death Feast.
a couple of others I can't remember. It's
Nice.
like
It's
Be a
like
sick run, yeah.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm just I'm really dreading being in the van for 25 days though, because I'm scared I'm not going to make it.
Hopefully it will have air conditioning.
Oh, I hope so.
It may or may not, it depends.
All right, well,
But
the last run we did when we played Obscene Extreme, we did like a week and a half, and there was no air conditioning in the van. I'm like,
brutal. We've done it with and without, and it's all windows down and just hope for the best.
Yeah, I think this is a nice Sprinter, so I think it's probably got air conditioning.
Yeah,
so.
it will be fine. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
And
That sounds like fun.
It's got a little bunk on the top that you can like get.
Yeah. You know what? Is it Fluff Wheels?
Is it what?
Fluff Wheels? Is that the company name?
No, it's a company in Poland. I forgot the name of the company.
Okay. Because we've toured last year we did a summer like Obscene and Brutal Assault and stuff festival tour, and we had a Sprinter with the bunk, and the bunk fits 2 people, and still plenty of gear. We didn't need a trailer; all the gear fit in. It was perfect. It was a good one.
Yeah.
Conditioning. It had air conditioning.
Yeah. So we at least we got this bunk, so some of us can take turns sleeping up there. So whatever, it's still gonna be fun.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. I don't have anything, any shows till September. We finally took a summer off. We've been busy every single summer since the pandemic. And so my parents are going to come over. I'll have some vacation time here with them from Germany. Nice. And then in September, we're going out supporting Revocation in the US and Canada. And that will pretty much be the last thing for this year. And riding mode and everything else is in full swing. So just that one more tour this year, and then that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to writing in like 3 or 4 months. I just don't feel like writing anything right now. So
yeah.
As far as Vulnificus, we just finished our tour back in May, I believe that was. So we did a tour for about a week and a half with the Violent Vomit and Putridity. We finished up with that. We had an album that released back in October called Inclination. You can go check that out online, vulnificusvdm.com. And then my birthday is about a week from now, so I'm gonna enjoy that.
Happy birthday!
And, nice.
Happy birthday,
man. Thank you, man. I'm turning 37, so the what you said about kind of thinking about history is definitely hit, because I'm kind of born at that weird transition before the internet, and then I kind of just through
almost
the
the same age.
Right there with you, yeah.
39, and we're like,
I
was born. Like, I remember distinctly the first, like, I remember when Windows 95 came out. That was like one of my first conscious moments.
I had the Macintosh.
Technological change. Oh no, we didn't have a Macintosh. We had like an old IBM machine at home.
Okay, yeah. I had the first Apple Macintosh computer back in the day with the colored back.
Or the iMac, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah. That's not the first Mac. I had a Mac. No. I had a Mac Classic in 1987. The first computer I bought for myself. It was like $1,200, which was a lot of money in 1987.
Oh yeah.
but I saved up but that helped start my career. So
Yeah.
in design, so it was
That's a great investment.
well worth the money. But I started on like a VIC 20. I mean, that's way back, you know.
Yeah.
And my house, when I was a little kid, our phone was what's called the party line. So
Oh, you had to only one line, of course, right?
yeah, but what a party line is if I wanted to make a call, somebody down the street could be using the same line and making a call.
Oh, wow.
You'd have to wait until they're done.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't remember that.
And now
I
look-
remember.
now look-
I do remember the one
Now
line
we have
shared
this.
between the internet, yeah, between the AOL modem and the landline. I do remember that like you got to get off the internet. I got to make a phone call. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember
I'm there with you.
I remember the landlines with the voicemail with the actual tapes.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you had the
Yeah,
voice
yeah.
with the yeah. You had to put
I mean,
had to leave
I
it
was
with-
born in East Germany, yeah, and so my parents were born in East Germany and grew up in East Germany. And I was born in East Germany when I was like 3 when the wall fell, so I don't really remember that. But my parents lived their entire young adult life without a phone. People didn't have a phone at home. It was, like it was just like it was stuck in time. It was frozen in time, right, from like before the war. So people didn't have a landline at home. And when we finally had a landline, it was like one of those old like rotary dial phones.
Right.
Like I remember for the first 2 years of my life, I was dialing numbers like that. And now we have this.
yeah, I
That's
know.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
kids have no
Yeah.
idea how to
Yeah,
do
the
any
kids
of
have
that
no
now. And
Kids don't know.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys.
Time
though.
to
I
shout
turn
at the
40
cops.
next month, so yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
old men.
Yep.
Yeah, to tie it all up, yeah, we have a show at Ohio Death Fest. We're gonna be playing that.
for you.
And then
Hell yeah.
after that, we'll see where the wind blows after that. We might write something new or we might play
Nice.
more. It just depends on what the people want. So
Oh, I have a parting question.
Yeah.
what's that?
Are albums dead? Is it put out an EP, put out a single, or put out an album?
I still like albums.
Depends
Absolutely.
on the type of
I-
I
band.
didn't say what you liked. I said
I
what.
like albums still, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like people don't really care about EPs or splits. Like just running a small record label. I feel like when you put that stuff out, they don't sell nearly as well as a full length. So I think there's something to that. And then I also don't like when bands are just putting out digital only releases because I feel like they just have no staying power. I feel like it feels more timeless when you've got something physical in
Timeless.
your hand.
That's it.
And so many bands too just put out 2 songs at a time, and like who cares? You just consume it, you move on.
I think that's the trend.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I asked the question. I think that trend. There's a trend of releasing singles, releasing 2 songs, and
That's
and
why I
doing-
said it depends on the band. I think it
I like-
depends on the
I
band and
think
how
albums-
intricate the band
I like
is.
albums too because it's a
The
collective
album will
form.
in the end stand the test of time more, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm personally still like albums, but I also think that like for all the work you already put into it, why don't go all the way and do an album
All the
anyway?
way,
Like you're already going to the
exactly.
studio, already going through all this bullshit. Like just do an album. That's how I feel. Like even EPs are kind of not worth it.
Right.
I agree. I agree as well. I was just throwing it out there because it seems like a lot of people, especially younger ones, that they put out, a single. 6 months later, they put out another single. 6 months later, they put out another single, and that kind of plays into the algorithm because it's always something new.
Yeah,
Right.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that's a part of the rollout marketing scheme that a lot of artists and musicians do, because the way it is now, it's kind of like seen as like the end thing to do. Like you notice it a lot with like other genres like pop and rap and stuff like that, because with each single puts you on an extra playlist, which puts you in the algorithm to constantly be, your name is always popping up. So that's why I say it depends on the band. Some bands are just not good in a small setting, like a single or an EP or whatever.
Mm.
Some bands are best absorbed in a full album because you get to go through the whole roller coaster.
Yeah, that's what I like. It tells a complete story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but some bands are not good at that. So some bands are just only it's only good for say something putting on the background, or a band that's good for the gym, or a band that's good driving, where I'm not really thinking too much. It's just something I put on to kind of just go through the motions and do whatever I'm doing. But like, if it's a more complex band where I have to sit down, I have to think about it, like kind of like Defeated Sanity, like I prefer an album, because then I can just sit back, play it, get involved, get engaged, and just kind of don't really have to worry.
Yeah. And I'm gonna add one more thing here. Like, sorry, I'm not gonna make it long, but when it comes to albums, death metal albums, right? Technical especially, but anything death metal, just also don't overstay your welcome. Like, I'm always a fan of, like, an album should really, like, 35 minutes, 35 minutes.
Brutal Death longer than
37,
that's
but
too
that-
long.
After that, like 40 is already too much for death metal album, especially if it's demanding and technical. Like, just make it an album, but keep it to the point where you can pay attention through the full length of it, and where you don't start like zoning out. 35 minutes in, and then there's still 3 songs to go.
Right.
And,
Your ears don't get tired.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that.
To say it in the famous words, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. 30 minutes is ideal to me.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 30 minutes.
40
to 35. That's it.
Yeah.
I think singles
definitely
have no
agree with
staying
that.
power either. If a band just puts out one song, you forget it the next week. But yeah, we get that
Absolutely.
30 minutes. We remember that years later if it's good.
Yeah.
Agree.
That was definitely my mindset when we created the Vulnificus album, was how can I create like what I would consider the best, like a classic kind of timeless death metal album, but still kind of keep the interest there. And the running time is always important. So like with our album, I think it's a little over 40 minutes, but in the 40 minutes, there's like literally just like ups and downs and just things that I consider
Dynamic.
cinematic to kind of
Mhm.
to kind of keep it through. So it's not 40 minutes of
Rest fit.
straight music. Like it's just like things that kind of follow the concept. And so when albums get a little over that 40-minute mark, there kind of has to be like something like that, like kind of cinematic
Yeah.
songs.
If it's
Throwing
a
an
prog,
songs that are longer than others,
that's different. Like I'm talking about like strictly like high intensity death metal music. Your brain can only process so much. So I think if a Pink Floyd album is 50 minutes long, that's different. But for death metal,
I'm
30 minutes is a good
5
marker.
minutes of Pink Floyd. I always tell people I've tried to listen to Animals 100 times. I'm asleep after a half a song.
It usually puts me to sleep too. That's true. But but it's like just an example. For like the slower the pace, the longer the songs. Okay, you can have a longer album. But high intensity death metal,
Yeah.
like 30 minutes is gonna wear you out.
Yeah, and it's supposed to. It's the high intensity death metal is supposed to be like an adrenaline rush, and you can't have an adrenaline rush
Absolutely.
that lasts
Last that long.
an
Yeah.
hour.
No.
You're
gonna die.
So would you consider a 20-minute CD album, or would you consider that an EP?
That's where it gets dicey because you look at metal
Because
and
there's a lot of bands,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
look at
bands
your
marketing,
contract.
there's a lot of bands marketing albums, as
what your
albums, but they're
contract
only
says.
like 20 minutes. So would you consider that an album or
No.
E?
I think industry standard, if I remember, we sign like with different labels now, and if I remember, usually in the contract it will say like 24-25 minutes is like the minimum so that they would consider it an album. Maybe even as high as 27, I'm not sure, but like 20 minutes wouldn't fly. If like most labels would say no, they would just say no. It's not enough. Unfortunately, it's kind of, that's still within the EP. To me,
I know.
EP.
I agree. I've just seen bands put out an album and it's only like 22 minutes or something, and I'm like, I kind of feel like
It's
I got ripped
tricky.
off.
I mean, I remember that first. Was it the first Odious Mortem album that I bought it back then? And
Yeah, it was like 20. It was 25. Yeah, it's
Was it
25
25
minutes.
even? I feel like it's
Yeah.
like.
Well, what
it
Brain and Blood
flies
is
by
how
so
Brain and
quickly.
Blood is pretty short, isn't it?
It's like
Yeah,
29,
Oh yeah, like
28, 29.
But that was short back
But
then.
that was
It's
straight.
short,
But that
yeah.
was straight
Yeah.
through.
But that was also short back then because back then
It was.
albums were 40 minutes long. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
people said, I remember when it came out, people were like, wow, this is a short album. It's only 28 minutes. You know, most albums were 42 minutes or 45 minutes because
Yeah.
that's as much as you could put
But
on.
it's so fast. They just condense it in in 28 minutes. Like you can't listen to 40 minutes of that. You don't want to.
No,
28
it's
is
like
perfect.
it's just like the first Deicide album. People were like, "Oh my god, it's a short album," but could you listen to any more of it? It's a shot of adrenaline that's 20 something minutes long, and you feel great when it's over. Because
Yeah, but if you play every song twice, I mean, it's about an hour. So,
You can.
I know, but
I can do that.
92, 30 minutes was still short.
Yeah.
You know, or 91, whenever it came out, 30 minutes was still considered short. I remember reading like, Kerrang and Metal Hammer and stuff like that, and people saying it was a short. The critics saying it incredibly short album.
Yeah.
It
It was back then. Definitely perceived as a short album, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now 30 minutes is like this is the standard.
Standard. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, short and punchy is good. I mean, you can't imagine like a new standard elite release that's like an hour long. That's just constant blasting, and it's
Yeah,
too
I
much.
know.
Yeah,
Wouldn't work. No.
Yeah.
you need
Wait,
some
wait,
acoustic medleys in there or something.
Way too
So,
much.
thank you all for your time today. Thanks for sharing your experiences of all being different touring musicians, all being death metal musicians. So it sounds like times are a changing, but that we're all hanging in there, and death metal seems to be doing all right. So appreciate all of you, and anybody in the comments can let us know what they think. But yeah, thanks again to all you guys. Love all you dudes.
Thank you, man.
Oh yeah,
Thanks
Kyle.
for
I'll
having
see you
me,
in a
Kyle.
couple of weeks,
Thank you,
bro.
guys.
Till then.
Give me a phone call, man. I'll get to it.
All right, sounds good, brother.
I'll see all of you guys hopefully soon.
Yeah.
See ya.
Absolutely,
All right.
man. Take it
Oh.
easy.
Bye bye.
Take it easy.